All right, y'all. Welcome to All Politics of Local America's number one political hip hop radio talk show. Y'all know if it's Friday, y'all know it's time for All Politics of Local. Listen, so tonight, of course, y'all know it's the first Friday of the month. So y'all know it's time for the Payne review. Hopefully we'll be able to get in touch with our brother, um Eric Payne, who's filling in for, of course, the Congressman Donald Payne, who went home to be with the Lord. So, we've made a commitment to continue doing the Payne report up until the presidential election this coming November. So, I'll try to reach out to him to make sure that he's still coming on, but but that's going to be for the first hour. And Zaid, what's going to
Holding
be
for
the
some
second hour?
reinforcements for the first hour too, and we may have some surprise guests for that first hour too, because a whole lot has happened since the last Payne report. Now I'm not sure if they can come through, but we got some good surprise guests that can help us build that hour on some real heavy stuff that has happened over the last month since the last Payne report. But going forward, to your point and to your question, the end of the rest of the run of the show, after the Payne report, at 7 p.m. and have Josie Gonzalez back and Todd Burroughs back. They are working together with Josie's Public Square Amplifier, an alternative media source that is being used to be a training ground for young journalists who are about being true in a very principled way to political content in a way that will not happen in commercial media, right? And Josie has built up a very reputable uh, platform with Public Square Amplified. And Josie, of course, was with us a few weeks ago, and she brought us Prime Minister Ralph Gonsalves of St. Vincent and the Grenadines as they were facing the trauma and tragedy and the hardship that came with Hurricane Burroughs. So we're looking forward to having Josie back to talk about their upcoming event on Saturday that's going to address the broader political landscape, right? So Josie and Todd is one of the teachers of those young students that she works with. So that's going to be a powerful segment in a tight half hour. Right after that, Marcia Brown, somebody hugely special to us at All Politics of Local.
The
You
great
know,
Marcia Brown.
a great Marcia Brown, who helped us start this show and with the full respect it deserved in our early days at Rutgers University in the Newark campus. That people do not realize how much of a creative force the great Marcia Brown is. She is a playwright, an actor, and a poet, on top of being a bad legal educator. That she made a mark on this particular quarter of our lives. She is going to join us for a look back on the legacy of the great James Baldwin. Today marks the centennial birth anniversary of Harlem literary legend and giant James Baldwin. And 8 o'clock is a question mark. We were supposed to have Donna Williams, one of our co-hosts, with the great Chino Ortiz of the Returning Citizens, but we're trying to find out whether or not that connection uh, held up. And we may also have another surprise guest that Jonathan was trying to brief me on. So that'll be an interesting moment that we're trying to figure out, just being transparent. Of course, we wind up the show as we always do, having DJ Rhino take us to the land of hip hop in terms of all those latest and important historic things that are important in hip hop as we know it then and now. So that's how we're riding. It's going to be a loaded show.
All right. Well, I'm try and hit Eric up and sort of see where he's at. But let me see if I can get this conversation started with. Did you get a chance to see the National Black Journalism Convention with Donald Trump?
The spectacle.
Okay, we can call it that.
It was a spectacle. It was a spectacle. Some of the members boycotted it out of principle because they thought Trump shouldn't have been there. Others thought he should be scrutinized because that's their traditional practice. And they got a good look at Mr. Trump in all of his pathology and narcissism in full and living color, right? Where you want to go with this?
Yeah. Well, I mean, let's. I mean, what everybody's been talking about is that, he's been talking about the black card, right? I mean, the first piece is as soon as it opened up, he started talking about. Well, let me ask you, Chris. Did you get a chance to? Well, two things. One is, did you get a chance to see the interview that's out there with Judge Joe Brown? Remember, he used to have a television show.
Sure. I
So,
haven't seen anything on him lately. No.
so this week there was a video that was released right on YouTube, and I'll try to find out who it was released by while we're doing the show. But Judge Brown, in that interview, makes some statements about, and so you can clearly see where Donald Trump is getting this stuff from. He makes some statements about her not being black, and that there's DNA evidence out there to prove that, right? And that she didn't refer to herself as a black woman. So, I mean, it appears that that's where Donald Trump is getting this information from. So when he says, oh, she's been doing this for a long time, and that he's been acquaintances with her for a long time, who believes that? Nobody believes that, and so what he's trying to do. He realizes that she can win with the black vote. If she doesn't get the black vote, obviously, just like Joe Biden won with the black vote. If she doesn't get the black vote in those swing states like North Carolina and Georgia and Milwaukee and so forth, obviously, he has an opportunity to win. So I'm sure that's why he's throwing that wrench in there. And now, and then the other thing is, Zaid, that a lot of our people have such low information, right? And because they have low information, they're willing to ride with that.
That's crazy.
And then people who got issues with her for whatever reason, right? Based around, some of the falsities that have been put out there around her prosecutorial record in San Francisco or in California. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, those are some of the things that are out there. But Trump sort of, fed his base with that on this week.
And it's coming out very messy.
Yeah,
it's coming out very messy because he's messy, right? And it's foolhardy. It's really indicative of how low, any standards of decency have come to the electoral landscape of this country with the advent of his emergence, right? And in spite of that, his base is locked in on him, so he can't be dismissed. No matter how ridiculous he seems and sounds. And we made that mistake by dismissing him because of his ridiculousness in 2016. And that's how he beat Hillary Clinton's behind. Right. But black women going to have a whole lot to say about that. I don't care what you say about the sisters. They are already locked and loaded.
Right.
I'm trying to get this sister to I'm not gonna call it the promised land. We would have said that years ago, but we clearly know that the White House is anything but the promised land. But at least to get her past him, right? Well, the degree to which brothers come along or not remains to be seen, and you have been saying that for a minute. But there's no comparison in my modest judgment between him and her for black folks to be serious about. But there's some other things that I want us to pay attention to. My concern at this particular moment is that, and I'm happy to see the groundswell of resourced unity from our sisters towards Kamala Harris, right? That's a step of maturation, because for years we didn't bankroll our candidates. We might organize for, right? But all those other entities did all the bankrolling. But that's a part of the maturation of the black vote in this particular, neoliberal capitalist landscape, that we're now starting to put resources behind who we want to vote, right? That began on the small side with the emergence of Barack Obama, right? Obama went after that small dollar coming from the people.
That's right.
We did
Absolutely.
get big.
Right.
Starting with our elders and our sisters, right? Now, I'm getting a thunderstorm in my area. I hope I don't mess up our sound, right? But the sisters stepped up in a big way immediately at the advent of this opportunity to make her the nominee, right? And that says something about them recognizing the moment. Now, here's my concern: is that that's cool because we need to beat his behind.
Right.
But at the same time, the larger national landscape needs also to be addressed, right? Jamal Bowman got beat behind an AIPAC attack, and even before that, they gutted through gerrymandering his district, which made him vulnerable to the loss that he took. Jamal Bowman, young brother from the Bronx, a part of the progressive wing of the Democratic Party in the Congress, right? Cori Bush election is up for a primary is up on the 6th, this coming Tuesday. They found them a Negro, then put a whole lot of that same AIPAC money behind a Negro to try and knock her off. Cori Bush, I would dare say, is one of the most progressive out of everybody in the Congress right now, right? Directly related with the stuff that she's driving, the things that we work with in our community on a daily basis, where we're saving each other's lives, right? Cori Bush, right? So I'm hoping that the progressive wing, and just like sisters came out for Kamala, they come out for our Coris and sisters like that, who are all over the country trying to expand the progressive base within the Congress.
And she's up for re-election, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. August 6th is the primary. Tuesday. It's deep for her, right? Bonnie Watson Coleman, right? Our big sister down in Trenton, right? Was just made the vice chair of the Progressive Caucus,
right,
in the Congress, right? And restated her strong critique of Netanyahu in that war and her position on that, right? All that stuff needs to be supported. There's a sister named Patricia Pugh who's running in the Detroit area along with Rashida Tlaib, right? There's another young sister down in the Georgia area. There's a sister in Philly that won last year, right? And then and there's one in Pittsburgh. There's a chance to grow that base and to bring some dynamism, a comparable spark to the Congress,
right?
That we need to also go with that, because if Kamala wins and the Republicans had a Congress and the Senate, she's going to be hamstrung from the door. And believe you me, if she wins, I think she has a chance to win, right? In spite of the madness, and we have to also pray that the convention doesn't get messy, right? Because it's the Gaza contradiction, the Gaza genocide is on Joe's watch, right? And the protest, rightful protest, is still powerful and ongoing, and will be coming to Chicago, right? And it requires cooler heads in terms of Chicago elected and police leadership, not to do what they did in '68 that blew, the whole notion of a united Democratic Party, going into that election. And who do we get? We got Nixon and his taste of fascism, right? So a lot has happened. A lot is in the air in this particular moment, and all that has happened just within the last few weeks. So we be all day on some of this.
But also, Zaid, I think that if we talk, just to stay with Israel for a minute and what's happening in Gaza, I think Netanyahu with him attacking another Muslim country this week, I think what he's saying is that he's not interested in peace, right? Nor is he interested in sort of any peace talks in regards to stopping the genocide that's going on in Gaza. I think that that's what he's saying, because remember, the other Muslim country he just attacked, just recently said that they plan on retaliating, right? And now you're talking about an all-out war in that region where America has already said that that they intend to, that they clearly intend to defend Israel. And so, if that's the case, the question that we have to ask ourselves, is what does that place young brothers who are in the United States Army, right? What is that place if it gets to be a ground war, right? Going in against those Muslim countries. Peace, Eric. We just talking about what's happening, with Netanyahu attacking another Muslim country at this point, and looking at start an all-out war in that region, and America saying that they would defend Israel. What does that mean now? Does that mean now, we got brothers, young brothers and sisters who are in the armed forces clearly didn't join to go to war. They joined because they were trying to get out of the hood for most of them and trying to get an education. Yeah. So what Zaid was pointing out is that some of the contradictions that are going on, particularly with this genocide.
Yeah, man. Well, I mean, it's been contradictions since forever, right? And also, too, particularly with the guy that got, running their shit, Netanyahu. He ain't the most compromising dude. When Trump gets in there, he's just going to be wide open with it. I mean, even there's a large majority of people over there that don't agree with him. And it doesn't seem to be smart. You being in the middle of all those Arab countries in the Middle East, you want to attack, as opposed to trying to work stuff out. I think it's all. Can we curse? Almost started cursing on the Payne report, but our whole approach, man.
I'll do that.
our whole approach, what it's based in. So that's just an extension of the imperialism and white supremacy, the whole nine, to go with somebody who has that perspective in running their government, right? And has that perspective, basically, kind of on apartheid, kind of, that's what they're running a little bit in certain areas over there, right? I mean, they're just kind of pushing the Palestinians off their land, and the whole colonies, the continuing of expanding the colonies when, they're trying to work that out, and clearly, the way they seem to be doing things, it reminds me a lot of South Africa back in the day, and the United States as well. The way some of the people are seen to be treated, I mean, you can't have people as it is in that region of the world who have that many people densely packed in an area anyway, even before we're talking about war or anything like that. You're already relegating people to a small portion of the land. Right. That a lot of them feel that traditionally, for centuries, that was their homeland too. So I think the whole perspective of how that was carved up and that piece of land came to exist, to me, as far as I know, seems to be kind of based in the disrespect for people of color around the world and their land and their indigenous land and stuff like that. From what my father told me, the best way to find out the history is people who were alive during that time could really tell you kind of the real, particularly for us as Black people. He was like, United States back in the day wasn't trying to support Israel, right? When Hitler started going after them and saying, he wanted to get the Jews out of Germany at the time, the United States was trying to turn their back initially. And so to take that region of the world, which I'm sure is in question, the historical value and who is the true indigenous people of the land and what they really look like, then you have to go back to what the original people who practiced the religion look like, because somewhere it got separated, right? The way we look at people's rights and value the lives of human beings, somewhere it got separated. And even though people say it's based on religion, it seems to be based on religion and skin color or ethnicity a lot to me, at least from one side of the spectrum. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Kind of that Western European perspective of how we deal with people of color throughout the world. You know, I mean, that's surprising that he took that route, but kind of not surprising, right?
No, no. I think one of the things that I saw is that first off, you got to think about the amount of children that have been killed, right, in this thing, and I don't know if that's done on purpose because you want to kill these kids to make sure that they don't come back as adults, right? So you kill that many children, and you don't I mean, nobody knows the mind of this guy Netanyahu. What we do know is that this guy definitely is a warmonger, right? And he's hell bent on making sure that he totally wipe out all of those folks in Gaza, right? He's clear about that. That
Yeah.
he said that he said from the beginning that he wanted to just wipe these people out, and now it just seems like with him going after another Muslim country. And remember, Zaid isn't in Islam, what is jihad? If you attack one Muslim, you attack all of them, right?
Yeah.
So how could you? I mean, what are you thinking?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
What are you thinking?
I've gotten a ton of noise in the background, y'all. I apologize.
Yeah, me too. The weather. I got the lightning, thunder a little bit, not that loud.
But I'm gonna tell you, Edward, that was on my mind with this guy, right? Once upon a time, there was an American president by the name of James K. Polk. You ever heard of this guy?
Polk?
Yeah.
He was the president responsible for what we call the manifest destiny of the United States. In one term, he pushed the borders of this country from the the area that we now know as the Louisiana Purchase area all the way to California.
That's for it, right?
Netanyahu looks to me like Israel's James K. Polk. He's amping up and pushing a notion of Israel's manifest destiny to take as much of that land as they possibly can, right? And in the process of that, because they're not just taking Gaza, they're arming settlers on the West Bank, right? Popping people off in the West Bank behind those settlers. Classic settler colonialism. Same playbook as we had taking the West from our indigenous people here in this country. It's the same playbook, right? What makes this even more horrible, though, is the weaponry of war that is being used, right? Guns, and we had guns back in the 1840s and 1850s. Guns were just beginning to expand in their capacity to be destructive. But here, people are being evaporated, blown to pieces. We can count over 40 some odd thousand men, women, and children who have been killed. But who can we not count? Who has been disintegrated under all of this bombing, right? An area that has held over almost 2 million people has been totally made unlivable. So as soon as they can, they're coming behind this. And to your point, Eric, they're coming behind this with the bulldozers.
Yep.
And more settlers.
Yep.
And Israel, as we know it, in terms of its boundaries, is definitely going to expand if it is not stopped in the immediate future, right? So, and this really puts both Biden and Kamala on the hot seat. Kamala said, I'm not going to be silent about what I'm seeing. We need to support Israel, but I'm not going to be silent about what I'm seeing. Well, we don't know how much she's going to speak up, right? But if somebody doesn't stop this lunatic, in his imperialist appetite, because he is definitely the loose cannon of white supremacy on the earth right now, right? That's what we're looking at. The two-state solution, Israel, by virtue of what they are doing, have taken that off the table.
Yeah. I mean, that's kind of the concept, right? I mean, really, if you're trying to annihilate your enemy and your mortal enemies and generationally, your two races or your two peoples are supposed to be in conflict. You know, when people don't really realize that. That means you're trying to annihilate the other race. You're committing genocide. So, you know, I'm not mad at anybody's right to exist. I'm not mad at Israel's right to exist, and also what went down in October. I know sometimes with me, my temper and trying to get revenge and try to get some sort of reparations and feelings and the toll that's been taken out on people. Sometimes I might be fuck the hell with what everybody else in the world is saying and going for it. You know, I thought about that the last time. I don't know if I spoke about this one time before on the show. The last time Netanyahu came when Barack was in office, and kind of in spite, you know, like Republicans do, they kind of really extended the invitation to him and welcomed him, which is their right as the Congress. But, you know, it was to give the middle finger to Barack. And in thinking that was messed up, that here this guy's coming over and doing that. Also, from his perspective, if I'm looking at it from that perspective, I guess he's saying the hell with what everybody in the world is saying. Everybody stood by at one time, and that our people get persecuted, right? Happened in history. Nobody's really contesting that fact. But then when you become the oppressor, and that oppression that then you're starting to wanting to right to get revenge and your zeal or your zest to make sure your people never end up in that position again. You become the very person that that was oppressing you. And layer on top of that, I think with the majority of people that are not of color in the world, maybe there is the perspective or is the outlook that people of color are less than. It seems to be that way in various interactions with people of West or Europeans and people of color in India and Africa and Asia. There always seems to have been, and maybe those countries feel the same way too, an air of supremacy that they're feeling. And the way they approach their interactions, government, religious, with finding the new world, like you're saying, that that President Pope had the manifest destiny. Right? Was it the manifest destiny of America, or was it the manifest destiny of the white man? What was that? I mean, yeah. Right? So everything was for them. I guess that's in short of what I'm explaining, and I guess trying to paraphrase it, that whatever was in the world was available to them if they could conquer it or take it, or is that kind of the concept that they were coming from, to reign supreme over everything, and people and everything else in the earth?
What's funny is, man, is I seem to remember, and I don't know if you guys remember this, but I seem to remember when Donald Trump was the president. I remember his son-in-law going over to Gaza, and he went surveying to see what it would look like if somehow those people could be moved, and that it could become a tourist attraction and a beachfront, right, for tourists, and that he had secured $50 million, if not more than that.
Already to invest.
Yeah, you remember that?
Already to invest, to create a whole new landscape of privilege for white folks.
Wow.
Yeah.
It's the same thing with Puerto Rico. Remember, Puerto Rico gets hit by that big hurricane, right? Yeah. A lot of folks got jammed up. No resources were put into repairing that infrastructure, and people with money from the states started coming to Puerto Rico to snatch up some land.
Right.
What is Puerto Rico? Puerto Rico is a colony of the United States.
Yeah,
Puerto Rico should give statehood to Puerto Rico. I've been saying that. Puerto Rico or independence, yeah.
So that for me, right, is I begin to look at that and say, is this really what the bigger plan is? So not only do you want to wipe these people out, but you really want them to be, you want to take them away from their land. So now that, someone like a Jared Kushner right? And these real estate folk can actually go over there and create, this sort of beachfront, right, for rich white folks to be able to come over there. And then you don't just move these people out, Eric. What you do is you kill these people, right? Because you see them as your enemy. And then on top of that, you have the American government and those of us who are taxpayers, right? Because remember, the weapons that they're getting is coming from the United States of America.
Yeah, we kind of give them cover a little bit on all their stuff that they're doing, right? It's I don't know how they delineate the limits of the support. I don't know how you do that. It's either you support somebody, what they're doing, or you don't. I don't know how. I understand the reason why it's felt that there has to be some support given to the state of Israel, but it seems to always come with no consequences. And to someone like me and the rest of us that are in the general public that might not be a member of that community or might not understand, or even like I said, we know members of the community disagree with how things are going down. So, but yeah, I don't know how you can split that, or clearly there's some big issues why we need to still support these people no matter what their actions are. But I would really be curious to know what are those issues that we have that are so important. We have to support someone whose actions, they're horrific. Certain people could describe them as being horrific or warmongering, even. You know what I'm saying? So how do we decide what we're going to support, what we're not going to support? And, we're down with you on that, but not down with you on this. But like you can only that predator drone will only go into this area. I don't know how you could be precision like that. Tell them, okay, if you need to kill your enemies and the terrorists over there, you feel a terrorist, fine, but dropping smart bombs and things just on the whole of buildings because you might be in underground bunkers. Yeah, I guess you do have to do that, but isn't there a way? You motherfucker. I mean, you guys are war experts. There's a way you can send your team in there and have them. They might have to go hand to hand to do it. But why does it have to be where the largest collateral damage? You just don't care about the collateral damage. That's the whole thing about. I guess people want to point to where they're hiding underneath where the people are living. But that doesn't mean you gotta then kill those people too because you feel they're hot. You know what I'm saying? I don't understand at what level, the two wrongs, and especially particularly if you have the might and the money and the power to move in, and everybody is saying chill to you on the block is saying chill. Yo, you gotta chill. People can't live together. All this fighting in the world. The block is the world. Blow it all up. It's going to be hell for all of us, right? So, because like we know what that could lead to. You're dropping bombs in Lebanon. So,
it's an fight.
Worse, before it gets better.
Yeah, but here's my concern though, Eric, and I was saying this to Zaid before you jumped on. My concern is that if it becomes a broader conflict, right, and America now gets involved in that fight, what happens is now you've got American soldiers, right, and you got it becomes like Muhammad Ali said, Zaid. Remember when he said that when they wanted to draft him, remember he said that the Viet Cong ain't never done nothing to me.
That's right.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying? So what do you think these young brothers are going to say who grew up around Muslims in our community and maybe Muslim themselves?
Oh yeah, there's definitely Muslim
into the military when Barack became president because they felt like it's at last it's kind of all right, to do that. That was a big deal for that generation, right? I don't think one of the things that is dominating the Democratic Party, and he's the white elephant in the room, is Bill Clinton and the Clinton doctrine of military supremacy. Clinton militarily was not messy, right? Meaning that nowhere in his notion of maintaining American hegemony did it include putting troops on the ground, right? He was about using the advanced technology of the U.S. Air Force to take out whoever you can, just to send a message, back them up and cripple them and keep it moving without, right? But that aside, Israel is not governed by that, right? Israel is very messy, right? Who knows where, how this could explode? And here's why they're so arrogant and set on what they're doing. We have to remember that Israel is the 10th leading military superpower in the world. The 10th. Ain't no bigger. The whole country ain't no bigger than Chicago. 10th most militarily equipped country in the world, and the countries around them, they can't match that.
Right.
They may have an ideological will to resist, and that is always the X factor when it comes to war between the oppressed and the oppressors, right? But from a military vantage point, they know they got the upper hand, with or without the United States permission.
Yeah.
Now, here's the other thing that should be happening. Not only should folks who are calling for a ceasefire should be calling for a ceasefire, but what happens to those folks and all that land that, if it doesn't get taken from them in any peace make out, right? Does the United States have the will, the moral will, to invest in the building up or the rebuilding of that area, so all those folks who they green-lighted being killed can live again? Right. That's a conversation I want to see happen. Right. Well, after the war in Europe in World War II, there was, quote, a Marshall Plan, an investment that put Europe back on its feet in 5 years.
Right.
5 years. Do the Palestinian peoples deserve a Marshall Plan based on the genocide that was just dropped on them since October 7th? And does the United States, who has blocked money, who's blocked money to the United Nations Palestinian Relief Agency, they ain't just sending money to Israel, they're blocking money in other places that can help people. Do they have the same will to invest in somebody's humanity after investing in the destruction of their humanity? Mm-hmm. That's the question. I want to see somebody have that conversation in all them highfalutin places where all them people make them kind of decisions. Y'all hear what I'm trying to say?
That could be a cold move for Kamala if she would, do something like that. Who knows what the handlers will say to a solution like that? But they could plant some real good seeds for her to pay off in the future, making that type of move or pushing that type of kind of call it a peace treaty or whatever. But the only way that the situation in terms of the two-state solution is really going to get mediated is that the United States is, in my opinion, is going to have to be as involved as we are with supporting their military. We really have to take an active mediation standpoint and negotiate between the two sides. Be a lot more active than certainly the U.S. has been all these years, as opposed to just giving people weapons and money, giving Israel weapons and money. You got to defend yourself, but also too, they're supposed to be working towards a solution, and they're clearly, their perspective is different than the U.S.'s. So we got to get something for our investment, right? We got to have a little bit more input. If I'm giving you money to protect your shit, to bomb people up, why?
But here's the problem. What you just said, though, Eric, they killing the negotiators.
Yeah.
Right? Mic dropper.
Yeah.
That's what they just did.
Yeah.
So and there was no accident either. It was very intentional.
So if I send you, Eric, to go negotiate for me, right, and they kill you, now how am I supposed to negotiate?
Yeah, right.
So all that you said is right and exact, Eric. But the problem is that So you don't want to negotiate. You want to just totally annihilate the people, and you want to tear up everything that was built. I mean, you tear up everything.
I mean, listen, I've come to the conclusion that trying to lead a free world and lead a democracy and all that is great, but sometimes you got to, if you're going to be involved in foreign affairs and being asked to come in, sometimes you got to be a little gangster too and say, look, so this is where it's got to be. This is, I mean, sometimes you have to move like that a little bit. If I mean, the whole geopolitical thing is that somebody else's move affects you over here in your country and this move over here. So I don't know how political or politically correct you can be in kind of a global geopolitical situation like that, where some people you might just have, in other words, have the strong arm and say, listen, like the U.S. does, have been doing, we got more guns than you, we got more money than you, we got more resources. This is how it's going to have to be in this region of the world, whoop, whoop, like that street knowledge, that negotiation. That's how, I mean, and the whole thing that people can't get with is how the image that's sold to the populace about how democracy, how it works in the world. We all come together, we're talking and working out. No, sometimes it's gangster, and that's what a lot of people didn't like about when Trump started revealing that, but he was pimping their card and letting the rest of everybody else know that they didn't really want to get that information to get out. But we know in the world, that's the reality, man. That's the reality. You ain't gonna have people working out and living in peace and all that. It's not gonna happen. It's not going to happen. It hasn't happened so far.
Right.
We picking and choosing our sides. And obviously, it's for how do we benefit from this perspective, first off. And clearly, I don't know if that we includes us, name people who look like us.
Right.
But clearly, somebody that's really running all this is benefiting from it.
Oh,
and the effect network in place to push those levers and to make it happen. So which makes me circle it back to certain periods in history for us as a people and the progress we're trying to make. We do have to participate in the system to make the moves, right? Like Joe Biden appointing a lot of black women judges, right? That's kind of the chess move that they were focusing on. The other side was focusing on like 20 years ago. They were focusing on federal district judges, getting more appointments for that. And in that seemed to permeate that kind of schools of thought or kind of whole sections of the country where you got like these, district court judges and courts that rule conservatively, right? Like in Alabama or wherever, where it's just straight illegal for a woman to have an abortion because that portion of the country, the district court, the Supreme Court judges or the district court judges in that area of the country that all come from a certain school of thought, right? Certain perspective about life.
Right.
And so the fact that we have an opportunity to vote Kamala in where she can have an opportunity for those judge appointments, right? To make those appointments like they stole, that's why they stole the Supreme Court appointments from Barack, because those were going to be the things that moved the levers in our society.
Absolutely.
So it comes around certain times. People say, I don't want to vote, the hell with that, yada, yada. Okay. But certain times it really is, we could really make some moves here that could move the mantle forward a little bit here, on a substantial basis, right? What I've noticed, every time you have a presidency, if you have 8 years of Republican, you need at least 8 years of a Democrat to undo and fix all the stuff that they just mess with.
Yep.
And that's why, if you look at it, Democrats have 4 years previously to Barack. Jimmy Carter Bill Clinton had 8. Before Bill Clinton, there was 4 years of Jimmy Carter, 8 years of Reagan, so they're ahead by 4, 8, 1 or 2 terms.
Right.
And that's a decade. That really affects the direction of the country.
Right.
I mean, we're talking about at least half a generation where individuals to get in positions and those positions to take effect, and they can put the rippling effect throughout our government and society, and eventually it permeates down and becomes part of a belief system and just a way of life where when you suggest anything other than that, people look at you like you're crazy.
Mm-hmm.
When we start talking about the black man was God, years ago, people would really look at you crazy. Maybe not now as much, but so us being in those positions and having opportunities to get in those positions, we really need to take advantage of. Is basically what I'm saying.
But you know what you just said though, Eric. You said that this is a chess match, right?
Yes.
And so we looked at it like that, and we understood. Remember, we talking about interests now, right? So if you're talking about Israel and you talking about them wiping out that particular group of people, and what's the real end game, right? What is the real end game? Because some folks are having that kind of conversation, and they say, well, this is really the end game. We want this land. We want to build beachfront property. We want, it's not, on one level, yes, about Hamas, but how many of those Hamas leaders are they really, right? And if you can go and plug them off that easy, Zaid, then they got to know exactly where they are. Maybe they're not really in these bunkers they're talking about, right? Because if you could just plug them like that, so you know where they are. So then why are you dropping these dirty bombs, right?
Wipe all that.
Numbers of children.
The heartbeat of genocide is this index. Creating conditions calculated to destroy a people in whole or in part. And there are other, parts that they add to that. But that's exactly what's happening. That whole area, that covers about 2 million people is unlivable right now.
Yeah.
Just unlivable, right?
Yeah.
And that is the intent, to make it unlivable. And in the vulnerability of them being that weak and that besieged, just move them. Whoever they don't kill, they just move them on out. And they don't care where they go. They've talked to some African nations about taking some. Egypt is scared to death of taking them because they know that Palestinians are going to try and organize. Wherever they go, they're going to try and organize. Right? And they don't want Israel be dropping bombs on folks inside their country, so they're not being the bridge of solidarity that they were in the anti-colonial era that was far more militant than this particular era, right? And then in the days of Nasser and all of that area was very different,
right?
Right. A lot of these countries in the Middle East are so-called client states of the U.S., the Saudis, all of that. They're not comfortable over our folks over there. They ain't doing it.
Yeah, they're not. Comfort is get a little comfortable. The way of life gets a little comfortable for them. They're part of client state, right? Is that what you said? They get comfortable. They get part of that lifestyle, that good life.
Yep. So Eric, before we run out of time, man, we got to get your view on. I'm sure you probably either seen or heard, right? Zaid and I started the show talking about this, and Zaid was like, "We can be talking for hours about this. Where you want to go?" But I'm sure you've seen where Trump started this conversation about, when he was being interviewed by the NABJ, the National Association of Black Journalists, where he started this conversation. I know where he got that from, because there's an interview out there with Judge Joe Brown where he says that Kamala is not a black woman, that in fact that her father had brown skin, but he was a European. And so therefore she was going around saying, when she that he claimed that he knew her for a long time, and somehow she was going around saying she was not a black woman, but she was an Indian. And of course, Joe Brown says in this interview that he claims that she's not black. So I know where Donald Trump probably saw that interview, heard that, and his people probably shouted to him, and he's an idiot, so he's gonna repeat that stuff, man.
Yeah.
So now he's feeding his base with that, and then some of our people, brother, we have low information, and that's all we need, right? You tell us, oh yeah, see, I told you. See, she was locking up the brothers, and now now she ain't really black. She running around like that. Yo, I ain't with her, right?
Anybody that's not black gonna be claiming black, even nowadays.
Right?
She would have never claimed it. East Indian too.
Yeah.
Come on. If she, you know, I mean, I'm not saying I know.
They tried a similar playbook with Barack, and it didn't work.
Yeah, yeah. So, you know, she's not gonna be talking about she went to Howard, one of the blackest. Why would you go if you don't want to be around black people?
I seen the picture when she was a child with her grandma.
Yeah,
You know, her grandma looked like my grandma.
yeah, right. So
Jamaica,
yeah,
not in India.
yeah.
You know.
East Indian father, East Indian mother, West Indian father, right? I mean,
Black.
Yeah.
and don't hardly nobody who's not black walking around truly trying to claim being black to catch the hell at black folks.
Yeah, they try to walk that road, man. But because I like problems, I'm going to do that now. If she was just a straight East Indian woman, I don't think she would be claiming that she was black too. For sure.
Right. But that's what he put in the air, right?
Yeah, I saw that. You know, Judge Joe too. I saw Trump, the clip from Trump, because we know he's a jackass. But also Judge Joe. Judge Joe, he just seemed like he's angry. I don't know. Some of the stuff, you know, is interesting, his point of view, but a couple of times I see him lighting people up or really passing his opinion, and he seems to be a little upset about something.
Yeah, that was my question. You know, where is that coming from with him?
Yeah, he seems to have a chip on his shoulder.
Yeah,
everybody's asking that question. It's like, yo, what did she do to him?
Yeah,
right? For him to come out and all of these derogatory things he's saying about her, like why, brother?
Yeah, I seen him going on to other people like that too, but it seemed like, I don't know, it seemed like once he didn't have his show no more, he was a little upset, you know, or maybe that's why he doesn't have it no more. But yeah,
unless he got dementia, man, you know what I'm saying?
Maybe so.
Unless, you know, and you know, because you know, there's also talk about, you know, that the Trump administration is going around trying to dig up you know, Willie Brown, right? And Willie's 90 years old.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
You know,
sharp when he was in the game, though. He was sharp.
Oh yeah.
I mean, he was fast when he was running, you know.
Willie Brown out here was Speaker of the House. Willie Brown from Jersey was Speaker of the House, and Willie Brown in San Francisco was Speaker of the House.
Yeah.
They talk about the San Francisco one. Yeah.
Yeah.
But they going trying to dig him up because what they, you know, I mean, you know, they had a relationship, you know, where he was cheating on his wife with Kamala. So they supposedly, the talk is that they're trying to dig him up to get an interview with them to talk about those years. This man 90 years old. I mean, what state of mind could he be in at 90 years old, and how much of that is he really going to remember?
Right. Yeah, that's the thing. They'll try to prey on that aspect. Yeah. His faculties not being as sharp.
Yeah.
You know.
So the question is that, you know, because there's speculation out there, people are saying, well, you know, so now he want to drop this out that she's not black. Go dig up Willie Brown. Talk about, you know, she was less than amoral, you know, when she was a young woman, and you know, and then if you listen to Joe Brown, he said some derogatory stuff about, you know, she basically just sexed her way through, you know, San Francisco, trying to, and you know, and you gotta be able to have, this is what I was saying, Zaid, we gotta have some surrogates out there, in my mind, like Mayor Baraka, who can talk to black folks in a way that we can receive it, because you know, if you listen to Joe Brown, he's trying to talk that talk to the brothers in California. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
You gotta be able to talk that talk back to say, nah, man, we ain't trying to have that. Because we all know how dangerous Donald Trump is, man. And we get it that you guys, because we get it that you guys, you know, went out and found Joe Brown. We get it, y'all going to find Willie Brown. We got it, right? And y'all really want to stop the black male vote because we think the sisters are locked in, right? Yeah. And get it. We get it now that y'all afraid that the brothers just may wake up and follow our sisters, and that means y'all really in trouble, right?
Yeah.
So that's why I'm saying we gotta have somebody like you know, a surrogate in my mind who can talk that talk. And this is what I was saying to Councilman Pat, right? I remember I told him, I said, we gotta have brothers who can talk that talk, man. right? Because look, Eric, I know you like me and Zaid. You don't want no milk toast shit, man.
No.
Right? Like, give it if they come in like that, we gotta have some brothers who can come with us like that, right?
Yeah, I mean that's always been my thing with the party, man. It's like, you got to be playing with these motherfuckers. I mean,
tell them on the hood, man.
I don't know what time it is. I mean, because they're really, they're making their intentions real clear. So people got to realize this is some real stuff out here. Liberation and all that is some real stuff. If you're gonna be down with this, people talk about freedom fighters and all that. That ain't no myth,
right?
That's some real shit.
Yeah.
And either got to be dedicated to what we're trying to do, and let these people know we're not playing, or not, And brothers like Joe Brown and other brothers might have beef. It's like, yo, it's not the time for that. A and B. Come on, everybody been with a woman or had their woman was going with a woman? Your woman got a pass, this and that, and everybody. What you saying? We all grown up. What you talking about right now?
Right.
And why is that? We got bigger problems to. We got a bigger issue right now. That's what I'm saying. And agents, that's some agent type of activity. It's like what you really money. Who you working for real?
Absolutely.
And so. Stuff like that, I tune out, and I try to encourage people to tune that stuff out too. If I'm talking to, if I have an occasion to talk to people in situations,
The problem with our people, you know this, Eric, Zaid, you know this. We love that gossip, man. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And like you just said though, it ain't the time for that, man. You know, we got less than 100 days, man, right? And one of the things that Congressman Payne was saying, may God be pleased with our brother. One of the things he was saying was, look, man, we got to tell these brothers, man, look, under no circumstances be distracted.
That's right.
Right? Get registered. Let's vote, man. Let's be out there with our sisters, man. Let's be on point. Because listen, 2025, that agenda is for real, man.
Real talk, man.
Project 2025 and Agenda 47.
Yes.
Yep.
That thing is for real. My wife was sharing some of that stuff with me this morning, man. She was like, yo, honey, do you really know what's in this thing? She's like, yo, this is what they planning.
Yeah, right? Man. Yeah.
And Donald Trump ain't that smart. He probably ain't read none of that, but he's like, yo, y'all make me president, I'm with it.
Yep, all them cats are just going to use them and pimp them to effectuate their whole plan permeating throughout our society. And they're trying to turn the clock back.
Yeah.
When you turn back the systems and the levers that make it run. That's why I was saying certain times we got to move. That's why I said some of this stuff right here, it's on some gangster stuff, really. Because when we got to move at the right time, and when we have to move, we got to do it. And when the opportunity comes, you got to move them.
Yeah.
Really. And sometimes we do have to, I'm gonna say it, be a monolith. And everybody, that's how we all voting, y'all. Everybody got to move in this direction. This is how it's got to be right now. I know some of y'all want independent scouts and all that other BS. Right now, this is how we got to move this way.
Right.
We need some generals. We got to move like a unit. To take advantage of this right here. If we do it right,
I totally agree with you.
I mean, we just get a little bit more time because they're gonna keep coming though. See, even if we get her in for these 4 years, right? They're gonna keep coming because they never give up.
Yeah.
That's the whole thing about them people trying to stamp out or trying to genocide or get rid of a whole race of people. As long as they're living, one of them is living that remember a generation previous, they're gonna remember.
Right.
Right. I mean, that's what really clicked to me. I'm like, damn, that's right. Because these, when Malcolm talking, the end of the X movie, Malcolm that does his thing. I take an eye for an eye. Dr. King says both people leads both people blind. But that's really what it is. It's always going to be someone that, if you have warring tribes that are going to continue to be at war, it's always going to be like that until you find some way to bridge the peace between these tribes and to get. My uncle Donald used to say, he was traveling in Africa and try to get various different people to get along of African descent within the continent. You just try to get people to coexist. That was that catchphrase during that time. He said, they're not going to get along or whatever, but you at least want to get them to coexist, recognize why it's mutually beneficial for us not to fight each other and try to kill each other
Mhm.
and just blow up and have nothing. We have nothing for any of us. What use is it going to do us if we kill each other off and none of us are left?
Yep.
So,
Yep.
you try to coexist at
Yep.
least, and then build from there.
Well, listen, Eric, man, we appreciate you jumping on, man, to do the Payne report with us, my brother. You know what I mean? And, we're going to continue to beat this drum, man, for the next couple of months, man, because, we got less than 100 days, and I'm with that, man, us moving as a Black United Front, right?
Yeah,
I'm with that, right? And I, me and Zaid talk about that all the time, right? And that's the talk we want to hear, right? I'm like, yo, I don't want to hear that bullshit from you, Joe. Willie, God bless you. You made it 90 years old, brother. Glad happy for you, but stay in a retirement home, brother.
Right.
Don't let them come and dig you up and tell you they're gonna give you some freedom and whatever, man. All you got to do is come out there and just throw a wrench in that and just cause all the brothers to be just come on, man. Whatever relationship that's almost like you know what we say in the hood, right? Because you were able to go and get your night with a sister. You ain't got to come tell everybody what happened and put her down like that, bro.
That's what I'm saying.
Y'all know what Michelle said, right?
Nah, what did she say?
She say they go low, we go high.
Yeah. For the most part. Then you have to talk to some other people to get there.
We just got to talk to the brothers.
You know what Oprah say, right?
What she said?
They go low, we go to the polls.
Yeah. You go.
Yeah.
I'm with that right there too.
The black black asses all over again.
Yeah. We just gotta have a different conversation. But Eric, thank you, my brother.
Thank you. Yeah.
Always appreciate the realness of your convo, bro.
Absolutely, man. Absolutely. I appreciate you having me on and being able to continue the Payne report for
yes, sir. We'll see you next month.
We got some things in the cut too to juice it up even further. Absolutely. Look forward to it.
All right.
All right, brother.
Peace. Peace.
What's going on, Todd?
Hey, how's it going? Well, you guys got me here on time. What's going on? Y'all are sharp tonight. I'm glad I jumped in.
Hey man, listen, brother. We gotta talk that talk. That's all, brother. You know what I mean? We just gotta start having a different kind of conversation with our people, man. Because there ain't no other way forward. And these brothers ain't gonna be listening for no soft conversation, man. So you got to have that conversation, man, and because Trump somehow think he know how to talk to us, right? The conversation with the black jobs. What the fuck is the black job? What is that? What is the black job?
And then the answer was terrible.
All I know is I can't believe we got to August. I thank God to get to August. That was a crazy July. That's the end of a crazy summer. That came out of a crazy spring.
Now something need to go up in smoke. As far as I'm concerned.
I mean,
where's Josie? Josie's supposed to be on.
So much stuff happened like from May through July. Like I haven't been able to watch the Olympics, right? I'm thinking about the Olympics. I'm trying to go to watch the Olympics, and then I got a notification showing me who won 5 hours before they air it. And I'm like, I might as well stay here and watch MSNBC and see what's going on. And that's how I spent my July. And I'm just glad to get to August. This last month has felt like a year in terms of politics and world news. And if you count in this stuff with the Palestinians and the protests from April on, I mean, this last 4 or 5 months has been like an entire year. It's been crazy.
Yeah. But Todd, I got to ask you as a journalist, man, what did you think of that?
What do you mean, the NABJ thing?
Yeah, the NJBJ, even inviting them. What did you think about that? Because some people said they shouldn't have invited them at all.
I have complex feelings about everything tonight. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to categorize things, and because you're all politics are local, and because we've all known each other for 30, 40 years, when I'm about to say something you don't like, I'm gonna announce it in advance. Like, you won't like this, right? Okay. So we can have a full dialogue on everything, right? Okay. until Josie shows up, we can start talking about tomorrow's conference. Because all we're doing is imitating
you
guys.
Hold on. Let me ask you. Hold up. What you rocking? What kind of hat you got on?
Are you kidding? This hat, I have wanted a hat like this my entire life, okay? A beanie with a propeller on it, all right? To show you that I am not a serious person. People think I'm serious. I told them I've retired from being serious. I've looked up my writings from just 2 years ago, and I'll go, oh yeah, I remember when I was serious when I wrote that. I remember that. That was when I'm serious. No, this is the way I live now as 56 goes on the way to 60. Like I'm tired of being the serious guy. So this hat is part of it. So all right, let's talk in depth about NABJ. We got some times with Josie or whoever shows up from Public Square Amplified. First of all, and I don't know if you know this, because I may have mentioned this on the air before, but I gotta mention it again. You know, Zaid is a bad mofo. You know, Zaid was so hard on NABJ 30 years ago about Mumia. So hard on it.
Right. You remember that shit. That's right.
No, let me tell you why I remember it. Because I was in Maryland at the time. I was living in Maryland.
Right. That's right. That's right.
And Zaid got on the Pacifica station in D.C. and started giving out the work phone number of the president of the National Association of Black Journalists, Dorothy Gilliam. He didn't care that Dorothy Gilliam had written a column for Mumia. He didn't care about that. He was like, no. Mumia's about to be killed. Okay, y'all talking this objectivity talk. Mumia's about to be killed. So he not only did it once, but he did it 2-3 times. As a result of him doing that, the Washington Post had to hire somebody to answer her phone. Zaid is merciless, man. Do not get on Zaid's bad side. He is merciless, right?
It was a delicate moment. You know, you brought up something that I almost completely forgot about because we were in this. We had to pull out everything. You know,
why?
At that time.
Why?
Right?
Because NABJ had taken a position of objectivity. They said, as a group of journalists, this has nothing to do with journalism. His being on death row, him about to be killed while we're having our convention in Philadelphia, has nothing to do with journalism. So we don't got nothing to do with that. Even though he was a outgoing president,
right?
When he was caught by the cops, he was an outgoing president of a chapter that had predated the national NABJ. Oh, and he was an award-winning journalist too, by the way, working for the NPR affiliate, the same affiliate that Fresh Air comes out of. If you're an NPR aficionado. So, and Edward, and Ed, I've not forgotten your question. I'm as Dr. Clark used to say, you know, I'm taking the long way to get to the question, right? How he used to say that. I forgot how he used to say that. No, he said we're going around the issue to get to the issue. That's what he used to say. All right, so that's what we're doing right now. So this objectivity thing, NABJ takes very seriously, right? Now, why do they take it seriously? Because it is the hallmark, it is the prime directive of their professional standing. See, if they're not objective, then they're just a bunch of black press people. Then they get fired from CBS and all those places. Although now, because of the reality of the media landscape, there's a network called MSNBC, which is and isn't part of NBC, which is a conflict within NBC. Because NBC is a so-called objective news organ, but yet they have this advocacy channel 24 hours a day. Advocacy.
The Democratic Party.
That is completely part of the Democratic Party. They might as well just have Democratic people host it and save all the millions of dollars they pay Joy Reid and all these people. They pay these people millions of dollars to host these shows, right?
Even outside them.
So this objectivity thing, they take very seriously, right? So they were objective on Mumia Abu-Jamal, said it had nothing to do with us. People like Zaid called him a bunch of names. People like me were lobbying NABJ to at least take a position on the First Amendment because while Mumia was on death row with an active death warrant, he was punished. He was put in solitary for engaging in a business or profession, which was against the Pennsylvania rules. But what was the profession? It was him writing. was him writing columns. It was writing a book. So he was in a country that talks about the First Amendment, he was put in solitary while waiting to die on death row for being a journalist. And so a bunch of us in NABJ lobbied the board and said, look, I know you're not trying to make the white folks who pay your salaries upset. We get that. But you got to at least take this position on the First Amendment. So they waited until the white organization, journalist organization, took a position on the First Amendment, and then they followed behind them. Now, if you want to read in detail about what happened in 1995 with Mumia and NABJ, which will give you some context for what we're about to talk about in terms of what happened this week, I would suggest you go to Public Square Amplified, where Josie was very kind and she printed. It was originally a 10,000-word academic essay, but she kind of shaped it into a 3-part series on Mumia and NABJ that you can find at Public Square Amplified. So the whole 3-part series on this whole period, because I had tapes of the convention and everything. I had everything. I had, I even lost memos where some of them knew in advance the Mumia thing was going to happen, and they got upset, because the only thing they changed coming out of that convention, I think it's important to explain to you how NABJ operates. The only thing they changed coming out of that convention, because they got a big black eye, right? Time magazine said, you can accuse NABJ of many things, but not excessive loyalty, right? The only thing they changed was they set up a PR apparatus, so just in case they'd be jacked up again, they would be prepared for it. So they just set up a PR committee. They didn't do anything with Mumia. To this day, collectively, they have never printed Mumia, and they even have a news site called NABJ News and Views, and they've never printed Mumia. So this gives you an idea of how their thinking is. Now, the funny thing is that was when the original NABJers, people who were coming out of the civil rights movement, out of the Black Power movement, people like Les Payne, Earl Caldwell, George Curry, that's when they were still alive, right? So that was NABJ at its best, right? Now those people are retired, they've gone to glory, right? So now we're dealing with a new generation of people.
A bunch of careerist Negroes.
Well, everybody's a careerist Negro when you got a career. Y'all are careerist Negroes in Newark, being in the Newark school system for 40 years. Y'all careers too, right? Everybody's careers when they got to eat. So y'all careers too. One job, you have one job for 40 years, right? Y'all think that's normal, right? Because Newark's a 40 city, right? You people walking around with one job, they have one job for 30, 40 years. When I was in DC hanging out with the bougie folks, they were saying, if you haven't changed jobs every 3 years, you're stagnant. And I was thinking about, well, what are my friends in Newark then, right? What are they then, right?
But what they chasing are pensions now, right? That's why they say
that's what everybody in Newark is. All Newark is about is getting a pension. That's all it's about. And that's why everybody stays in the same job for 30, 40 years, because there's literally a clock. Everybody walks around with a clock in Newark to what their pension is. You can go to anybody and say, how many years? And they're going to tell you, 3 years and 8 months.
Yeah.
Right. Okay. So let's get to how this applies to this week. And okay, Josie's coming in.
This coming. And I found a link we're talking about for Public Square on the back in 95. So I'm trying to put that up as y'all talking. Keep rolling. Keep riding.
So let me finish this NABJ story and update it to this week, and then Josie can talk about the conference that I bullied her, that I pushed her, that I beat her up into doing, because she was only working 80 hours a week, and I worked 10, so I bullied her into adding 10 hours, and I didn't add any hours on my work week. I'm just letting you know how this really happened, right? Just in case she's too polite to say what really happened. That's what really happened, right? So she'll talk about that in a minute. But let me finish this NABJ thing, because I think it's important for people to understand how these people think. So as we learned with the Mumia situation, NABJ people do not think like the Black press. And by the way, I was the person who was making sure Mumia was being printed in the Black press, because I worked for the National Black Press office, and I was typing Mumia's column, and it was going around the country. I got the most publicity Mumia ever got. The most exposure he ever got was because me, because I was typing in the column, and the Black press was like, no, we print everybody were part of a larger debate, and there's a whole history of the Black press that I've had the honor of my life to study, where they talk about all the different parts of the Black press: radical, conservative, liberal, all of that. So the Black press didn't care. So when Mia went out all around the country, because I was able to do that with the NNPA, National Newspaper Publishers Association, which, by the way, Zaid criticized NABJ this week for what they did with Trump. So let's get to that. And y'all know, of course, Roland Martin pitched a fit, and he's done several shows about this that you can find on YouTube as well, right?
Right.
So let's talk about how they viewed this. Okay. Their organization of professional journalists, which means that one of the things as an organization of professional journalists is the need to interview newsmakers, right? So let's say I still worked at the Star Ledger, right? Let's say that, right? And the Star Ledger said, you got to go interview the head of the New Jersey Ku Klux Klan. Then I got to go interview the head of the New Jersey Ku Klux Klan. Right? And he's going to say, nigga, and I got to ignore him, right? The point is to get him to give me an interview, right? So I get an interview, I have to interview him, and I have to write it up, and I got to be objective writing it up, right? Right? This is what you sign up for when you decide to be a mainstream journalist. You sign up for these rules, right? So NABJ as an organization that was founded in 1975, the last group of Black professionals to organize, by the way, I want you to think about that. They were the last group to organize. Everybody else was organizing. They were the last group because they're like, well, should we organize? I don't know, we're not supposed to be partisan. If we have a group, it looks like we're partisan. They had all these arguments about this. You can read all of this, by the way, in two books by Wayne Dawkins. One is called Black Journalists, the NABJ Story, and the sequel is Black Journalists Swim the Mainstream, right? Those are the two books on the history of NABJ, if you're interested in this. And from the very beginning, by the way, the Black press attacked them, said they weren't really Black, weren't really representing the Black community, right? So NNPA coming out for them this week, against them this week, was old home week for me. So let's get to the crux of the matter. Since they formed in 1975, NABJ as an organization of professional journalists has a standing invitation for anybody running for president. They offer to come to our convention and be interviewed by them. And they've had many people come. They've interviewed Jimmy Carter. They've interviewed a whole bunch of people. They interviewed Bob Dole. They interviewed a whole bunch of people. So when they set out, the invitation to Lex Luthor, aka the Orange Man, he kept saying no. Well, this year he said yes, right? For some reason, but this year he said yes.
He said no. That's interesting. Go ahead, keep going.
Yeah, he said no for all the previous years, but for this year, for whatever reason, he said yes, right? So I don't know whether it was one of the conditions in terms of the interview that the group that interviewed him was all female. That's one of the things Roland Martin was very upset about, right? But he gets an all-female interview panel, and one of them is Harris Faulkner from Fox News, who we know, of course, is one of the most regressive people on television, regardless of race and gender, right? So NABJ accepted by accepting their invitation, they accepted that they were going to be set up by Donald Trump. They knew they were going to be set up by Donald Trump, right? They did it anyway. Now, why would somebody do that? Why would somebody, you at your convention, you're supposed to be partying, hanging out, going to the jobs fair, asking white people to hire you, getting vouched for by other Black people that the white people know so they can hire you. Why would you set this kind of situation up where you're going to get embarrassed, you're going to get humiliated, and you're going to get insulted by a white nationalist, and you're literally not going to do anything about it because you're objective, right? So you can't get up and slug the dude because you're objective. This is why they didn't let Roland Martin on. Roland was very upset. He said there was no brothers in the field. There was no black media on the panel. Now I don't know if this meaning him. I don't know what he was meaning, but I got what he meant, because there was nobody on the panel that was going to slug that dude because they're being objective. So again, so why would they do this?
Roland Martin broke away from mainstream media so he wouldn't have to be objective.
And he was lucky because he worked at CNN. He was able to save $400,000. How many black people you know got $400,000? He was able to save $400,000. And that network he has right now, Black Star Network, that's his own money. That's not anybody else's money.
Yeah.
That's his money. $400,000 investment into Black Star Network. So why would they do this? Okay, here's why they did it. Trump doesn't get interviewed a lot. Trump doesn't get interviewed by black journalists a lot. This was an opportunity that you literally can't turn down. If someone told me today I could go,
I love the black people in our country.
What's that?
I love the black people in our country.
That's what he said. But I'm just saying, but if somebody paid me tomorrow to go interview Trump, I would go interview Trump. I mean, that's what we do. That's what we do, right? We don't turn down because of ideological whatever. If somebody's a former president or future president or present president, and we get an interview, we're gonna interview. And to show you how that works, I don't know if y'all caught this, but when they let out one of the journalists from Russia, they gave him some paperwork to fill out. I don't know if y'all caught this on the news, right? They gave him some paperwork to fill out. I think
we're talking about the prisoner swap.
Right, the prisoner swap, right?
Yeah,
where Cameron's already coming out acting like the president. I really believe Cameron's been elected already the way she's been acting the last week, right? I mean, she acted like the president, right? And you saw where she slipped at the funeral of Barbara Lee. You saw where she slipped. Was it Barbara Lee, Josie? Who was it?
Yes. No, Sheila
Jackson Lee.
At the memorial?
Yeah, you saw where she slipped at the memorial and called herself the president and quickly corrected it. And the crowd started cheering.
Crack it up, probably, yeah.
Yeah, it's made the rounds.
It's a Hollywood thing.
Right. But here's what one of the journalists said. Here's what one of the journalists said who was getting out of jail. Now, he had been tortured and all this, right? And they gave him a piece of paper to sign, and there was a blank part of the paper, and what he wrote was, President Putin, can I have an interview? See, that's how we think. That's how we think. He's thinking about, can I get an interview? Right? He wants to go home and all that, but that's how we think. And if Putin gave him an interview, he'd have stayed there, gotten the interview, and then gone. I'm telling you how this works. The mentality of thinking. So NABJ,
God, I don't know. I'm like Joe Frazier. I want to hit him with a left hook.
I understand that. That's why you are the street
brother. Ed, you hear me?
And we need people like you, and we're gonna miss you when you're gone. Because Negroes will be way too afraid to act like you. Okay, this is why people, every community, every black community's got a Zaid Muhammad, every single one, right? And we're gonna miss them when they're gone, right? Because they would give a left hook, absolutely, right? So
we got to Josie.
Well, and I'm going to wrap up in 2 minutes. And I'm going to be quiet, and we're going to jump to Josie. So
no, I want Todd to finish this point, because I think what happens after Todd's point is the discussion around the construct of media and press and the role of corporations in controlling journalism to feed a particular idea of who we want to be. And this has a lot to do with the Kamala Harris, celebritization of Kamala Harris.
Right.
Think in the last conversation, the discussion, we don't want to hear any outside voices.
Right.
Of democracy.
And I want you to get to that. So I'm going to wrap up in 1 minute, and I'm going to hit mute, and I want you to get to that. So Trump comes in, and you saw it. Everybody saw it, right? I watched it with my mouth open, right? Oh my God, that's as bad as we all thought it was going to be.
Very rude, very rude.
Very rude, playing to his white base, but all sorts of news came out of it, right? Even Harris Faulkner, the Trump apologist, made him say something that's been talked about for 2 days about he doesn't really care what the vice president is, he doesn't really care about J.D. Vance and all that. So from NABJ's perspective, they won. From NABJ, why? Because they dominated the news cycle for 36 hours.
Yeah, and they exposed it.
And right, and the sister who challenged him is now a hero. Rachel Scott at ABC is now a hero. So that's how they think. And now I'm going to hit mute, and I'm not going to talk again because I want Josie to talk about everything.
No.
Propaganda and then the forum. Nope, I'm hitting mute. Bye.
No. I think that
Good setup, though. I understand where he went.
Really
welcome back.
To think about journalism, to think about this journalist being called a hero because she stood up to Trump. I think these are real concerns we have to have of the role of media and the role of press in our democracy. So, journalists being called heroes because they may be aligned with one particular party or one particular party's objectives. I think those are some real concerns. I think when we start calling, journalists heroes, I think we have to have a reflection on what democracy is and the role of press, right? The role of press is to hold folks accountable, to hold power accountable. When we say as public square, we say we're the balance in the room. We don't make any bones about not being objective. We want to be grassroots. We want to be emancipatory. We want to be liberatory. We will publish an opinion. Well, tomorrow we'll publish an opinion piece that challenges sort of the Black mainstream idea of Kamala Harris and that we should all vote for her, right? So there's a space for conversations that get us to grapple with, do we want a democracy? And what's the role of the press in expanding our thinking and our ideas? I just think I have some concerns about how this election is being covered, and how we think about government, how we think about politics, and how we think about democracy. So Todd, I think the points you're raising are great points.
Let me jump in this way. Venezuela just had their election, right? And there's this whole media domination of this not being a valid election. I sat in with, of course, with the National Lawyers Guild, who observed the election. And not only did they say it was a valid election, it was one of the most democratic they've seen in a while, and they've covered all of their last 3 elections, right? And for all of the facade of American democracy, it wasn't just Maduro in the right-wing candidate that the U.S. wants. There was 9 candidates on the ballot, and all of them were on the ballot and had a say in that election, as folks do in a genuine democracy. But not in the United States do 9 candidates have a say, right? So, right? So right on to what Josie and Square is trying to do, because we have to sharpen these contradictions.
We do.
Sharpen these contradictions. And we always periodically we get into these episodic spaces, right? That consolidates the shrinking and the smallness and the concentration and monopoly of the 2-party system, as opposed to any genuine expansion of democracy, which is what the hell we should be talking about at this late stage in the game.
And it also gets us, Zaid, to the ways in which groups who are not part of the power paradigm, the way in which those groups are used to further the interests of particular parties or to further the interests of the objectives of capitalism, right? So because journalism has become sort of a tool of capitalism, and so the way in which the mainstream narrative is constructed sort of tells the story of this election. For the past, I don't know, Todd will correct me, but maybe the past since the birth of sort of neoliberalism, right? The Thatcher-Reagan era, right? So we have been in a state of a fear of or the conjuring up of a boogeyman, to vote against a boogeyman. And so anyone can have a boogeyman. So for the past number of elections, we've been voting not in the interest of the material conditions of people, not against war, not against militarization, not against expanding or reimagining the economy, rather It is, how do I maintain a neoliberal construct and make sure that whoever the boogeyman is does not infringe upon any change to the neoliberal structure. So we're not really invested in imagining a society of real equality or full citizenship. We're really dedicated to maintaining a neoliberal paradigm that offers power and access to power. Those 10 or 15 corporations that not just controls media and journalism, but sort of controls everything. And in today, in particular, the AI capitalism that has constructed sort of a feudal global state in which we all work for these AI corporations, right? And let me say this: journalism has become a portal through which these corporations create and maintain hyperconsumption, not just of goods, but of ideology and of fear and of surveillance. So we accept surveillance, we accept control of ideas, we accept a narrowing of democracy. Why? Because there's a boogeyman, and it will, depending on the level of access, we will be rewarded. So we're not interested in stopping wars. We're interested in not bringing wars to our shores. We're not interested in expanding an economy. We're interested in maintaining an economy for particular classes. And we accept the different classes we're in, right? So America still runs in a dream of the middle class, right? The dream of the home ownership. I mean, I said recently in another interview that somebody said, Newark is a great place to live. And I think it is. And I left New York because it was expensive. But the cost of housing in Newark is what you spend your money on. So you may, and so and it's the same sort of capitalist structure, right? So housing is expensive, costs are expensive, but we adjust to these costs. We're not in the streets saying that this home ownership is a myth, because home ownership is now owned by mega corporations, right? Land acquisition is settler colonization. Rent acquisition, right? So this is what supports colonization and capitalism is rent, right? Wall Street runs on rent.
Right on. As we're up against the clock.
We are.
Let's talk about tomorrow. Set the stage for tomorrow. You got a heavy town hall tomorrow. We're on. Let's talk about it for a hot second.
Yeah, we're having this town hall. The idea, the great Dr. Todd Stephen Burroughs. We're having a town hall. We're going to talk to journalists and activists. We're going to have community journalists that are part of our community journalism class, led by Todd, who's our senior editorial advisor. Deborah Smith Gregory is the moderator, and Larry Ham.
Did she freeze? Todd, you got to run the rest of the show. Who's coming on? She froze up.
All right. Let me read from the press release here.
I know Rosa Clemente is supposed to be joining you.
We're having a town hall meeting talking about local, state, and of course national elections. Our guests will be Rosa Clemente, a journalist, activist, scholar who made history when she became the first Afro-Black Latina to run for vice president of the United States on the Green Party ticket in 2008. And she's currently a PhD candidate at the University of Massachusetts.
I was supposed to be up there with her too. I'm still mad at you. Go ahead.
And she's a disciple of Dr. Turner, of the Africana Studies department there. So she's definitely in the root. Of course, we couldn't do this without, of course, grabbing Kelly Harris, who always says yes to us because he's ridiculously kind. The senior staff director of Africana Studies at the University of Pennsylvania. We, of course, Chairman Ham. And we also have Dina Saeed Ahmed, a multimedia journalist and former media manager of the New Jersey chapter of the Council of American Islamic Relations. And so,
I like Dina a lot.
Yeah, so the event starts at 11 and ends at 12:30. And, you'll go online. If you go to Eventbrite, you'll go on Eventbrite. Hello? And see that.
I can't hear.
Ms. Brown, can you hear us? Can you hear Ms. Brown? Can you hear us? We can hear you. I think she's trying to get what she can.
I don't have any audio.
Okay,
we hear you,
but we hear you though.
Here.
But we hear you. We hear you though. We hear you well. We hear you well.
Yeah.
No, I'm on my laptop.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, tell her to go out and come back in.
Okay. Yeah. All right. Okay. So we're having this forum.
Where's this going to be at? Where's it going to be?
It's virtual. It's online. You can go to the flyer. You go to Eventbrite and go and register for it, and you'll get the code. It's from 11 a.m. to 12:30. It's actually part of the Saturday class Josie and I have been having now for the past 9 weeks or so, because we've been teaching activists about journalism and media and political education. So it's actually part of our community journalism class. But we thought about having this town hall meeting because with all this craziness going on, I was like, we got to respond, and we've got to get the activist response to this, so that people can get other views other than that's being peddled by MSNBC and others. Because for those of us who remember, like Gil Scott said, we don't need no rerun, right? We've had all the reruns before. This is a rerun.
Yes, I know what it was now.
Obama. Can you hear us now, Ms. Brown?
Yes, I can.
Okay.
Okay. Good. Okay. So we're wrapping up the segment, Ms. Brown. You'll be coming on in a few minutes. I mean, so we've had a rerun of this, where there's a lot of action, a lot of excitement. Generation Z, they didn't have a chance to vote for Barack Obama for the first time. So this is now their moment. That's why they're so excited. And you got all the TikTok videos and all of this. And Ed, you talked about the United Front. Well, we know, of course, what's going to go on, right? The United Front's going to be to get her in office. She's going to do things we don't like, and we're not going to criticize her. Because that's what we did with Obama. When the black leaders met in the biggest snow blizzard day of the year, they met with Obama, and the person I used to work for, Ben Jealous, was one of them. They all came out and said, our agenda is supporting the first black president. Tavis Smiley got upset about that, harshly criticized them, and Al Sharpton got on his radio show and got Tavis on his radio show and ripped Tavis a new asshole. And that was the beginning of kicking Tavis out of the elite black structure. I'm sure you guys remember all of that, right? Because before that moment, Tavis was the man.
It was the elevation of Al Sharpton as a national player in the Democratic Party.
He was the man. But Tavis was the man before that. I mean, he was writing his own black agenda. He was doing the job of the whole Urban League. He was writing his own black agenda, right? Having his conferences on the black agenda. What I like to say about Tavis is that Tavis was Black America's Larry King, but he thought he was Martin Luther King, and that was his problem.
Wow.
Right. But we've seen this kind of rerun before. So I'm enjoying it, frankly, because I'm not expecting anything from Kamala Harris because I know better. I mean, when you look at her background, Obama looks like a radical compared to her. I mean, but this is exciting for black youth. It's exciting that, it's a great way to thumb your nose at Trump and to make sure he doesn't get in there and mess everything up. If you have student loans, you're going to get your, and you're poor, you're going to get your student loans forgiven. I mean, there are real practical things that are going to come from Harris. So I'm enjoying it as entertainment. I'm enjoying it like the Olympics. Now, is Josie coming back in? Is she trying to come back in?
No, we got to move to Marcia.
Okay, so look, great to talk to you guys. We're going to talk again, and hope to see all of you tomorrow. And please put the Eventbrite link in the chat for people to register. Registration is free. All right.
Yeah. Right on. Thank you,
Hey, Todd, let me just ask you this as an ending question. So,
Sure.
are you saying that black folks are going to treat Kamala the same way we treated Obama? We're not going to criticize her publicly. Is that what you're saying?
Ed, are you married to a black woman, Ed?
I am.
Ed, do you know there's an army of black women who are organizing for Kamala? Are you going to go up against an army of black women who are organizing for themselves for the first time after they've organized for black men and black children and other people's children for 300-400 years in this country? Are you going to do that? Because I'm not. I'm a coward, Ed. You might be brave, but I'm a coward. The candy store will be closed forever.
Yeah.
All right. I'm not willing to risk that. Okay. So I'm happy for the sisters. And particularly the sisters who are in sororities and who are ordering Eastern Stars and all of that. This is their moment. And I'm happy for them.
They're
And
saving
that's
all
the
black
reality of
ass
that.
That's right.
But look, I'm gone. You guys take care. Have a good weekend.
All right. You too, Todd. Peace, my brother.
Marcia, how are you, my warrior woman? What's going on?
Well, I know I'm not going to step into that one.
Wow.
But there was a time we might have stepped all over it.
Yeah, I know. Listen, the older
hey, Marcia, I may not have that conversation publicly, but I'm gonna have that conversation. You know,
absolutely. And I think that's the question: is how much should we be doing, putting our business out there publicly? I think that's really the question.
Right.
But yeah, no, these days I'm doing a lot more listening. The older I get, the more I realize I need to listen, you know. So it's good to be back with you guys. Always. I'm always having technological difficulties. We're having thunderstorms out here, so you know, if my video goes out, hopefully my my audio.
I had it too. I had to be on mute for half of the first.
I mean,
fire trucks and all the thunder and the lightning, and you know, one of the windows where we're at blew out. So
really?
Oh yeah, it's a mess. Right? Principal Confederate brothers greeting us from the high up in the sky when our faithfuls and our education legends, right? But let me do. I want to bring you in the right way, and you look great too. I see you rocking that red with your crown.
Oh, listen, you all haven't seen me because I cut off all my locks. I think that's what old people do. You know, they cut off all their hair.
Wow.
So
wow.
You know me long enough to remember when I was red naturally.
Marcia, you've been rocking those locks for a long time.
I do. I know.
Wow.
But you know, listen, everything changes.
I hear you.
And it's good. You know, it's good. I love it. It's, you know, it's like I feel more natural. I feel more, you know. But listen, you know, I just want to thank you guys for, you know, bringing me on again. It's always good to be with you guys and, you know, to be a part of the substantive, intellectual, and activist work that you're doing, which is great. I mean, our young people need this so badly. And, you know, I just want to say her name.
Yeah.
Sonia Massey, say her name. Sonia Massey, say her name.
Yeah.
Sonia Massey, because I believe that also if Baldwin were here, I think he would definitely be saying her name.
Yeah.
And he would be speaking very fiercely and very pointedly about the forces of American capitalism and racism that caused her death. And so there's a linkage there, you know. I mean, Baldwin is a part of this trajectory that we've been on. But anyway, happy 100th birthday, James Baldwin.
100 August 100 to 1924 in the village of Harlem.
In the village of Harlem.
Right, that's right.
Amen.
All the world talking about white people like a dog. Right? And he probably
people be saying like, you don't want to have a debate with Baldwin because all you're gonna be doing is saying ouch, ouch, ouch.
He did it so pretty, you know, all that language.
Oh my God.
With it. Ba-dow.
You know, and it was just the power of not only he had this distinctive voice, but you know, the way that he would use his voice, you know, sometimes he would slow it down and then he would look at you with those dark black cold
eyes. That's right. The bad Baldwin eyes.
So he would be all in it. You know, I mean, my first introduction to Baldwin was when I went to college because I had never read a black author before. This is 1968. This is the height of, you know, Black Power.
Yeah. Oh my God.
Yeah, the anti-apartheid struggle, the Vietnam War, all of that. So I'm being exposed to Black authors for the first time in my life. You know, Baldwin and Morrison and Maya Angelou and Alice Walker and Sonia Sanchez. I'm freaking out. I'm like, oh my God, what is this? My mind is being blown. All these Black historians. But, for the first time, they taught me to understand the contradictions that we live with as a people. And Baldwin in particular, like you were saying, I mean, I don't know anyone who was more fierce than Baldwin in the indictments that he brought against America. I mean, he laid it on what it was doing to our humanity, the hypocrisy of the so-called American dream, and also the struggle that we were having as a people internally with, our desire for a better life, the American dream, but also what Baldwin would point out, but this is really a nightmare.
Right.
In fact, we're being controlled like chess pieces, on a chessboard. This is what our lives are like. So Baldwin was unafraid, I think, to be in your face. He was unapologetic. And, he is still relevant today. I think 3 of his most important books that I remember would show his power as a writer, right? And also his struggle with his own identity, identity as a Black man, his sexuality, his sense of patriotism. He loved America, but he also, was willing to challenge it to the nth degree.
Over
absolutely.
American bullshit. That's right.
Absolutely. I mean, when you think about The Fire Next Time, I mean,
oh God, yes.
Oh my God. Our children don't know the Baldwins of our history. They don't know the Baldwins. Right. They don't understand. I think if Baldwin were alive today, he would have been with the Black Lives Matter movement. He would be out there. I think he would be happy to see it too. Oh my God. Listen, he left America because he could not handle the very contradictions that he was amplifying in his writing. Right, and he needed
things got hot, he would come back.
If things got hot, listen, it's an important point you're making, because whenever Baldwin was called, he came. A lot of people don't realize that he was very close to Malcolm, very close to Medgar Evers, very close to Martin. And when they would call him, he was there. He was there. But, the interesting thing about The Fire Next Time, because I think about that brother who writes for the Atlantic. He wrote this book to his son, letters to his son. I can't think
that's Paul Coates' boy.
Yes, Coates. Yeah. But Baldwin.
Yeah, right.
Right. He's telling his son, about America and about his own identity and about how to live. Interestingly enough, I'm writing a book now called Breathe, and it's a series of interviews with Black men about Black men's lives, because I want them to leave something for these young people to understand what it has meant, this trajectory of being, Black men are not very good at talking to other Black men about, things that touch them, touch their hearts, touch their souls. It's a real struggle for that. But I think it's easier for them to talk to a Black woman about that than it is each other. So I'm going to do this piece and then leave it. I think it's something that, we need in our schools or whatever. But anyway, in terms of, Baldwin's books, and I think about The Fire Next Time, which was really 2 essays, one in which he wrote to his 14-year-old nephew.
That's right.
On the occasion of the 100th anniversary of the Emancipation Proclamation. This is deep. No one had done this before. And he's talking to these young people. Baldwin was fierce not only in his criticism, but also in his love. He loved these children.
He had no problem using that 4-letter word, all over the place.
Man.
That all the time. He was definitely
all over the place. And it was a prophecy of what would happen if America didn't change, right? Same prophecy that King gave, same prophecy that Malcolm gave. I mean, there's a long line of continuity, in understanding what these writers have been saying. But yeah, The Fire Next Time, Notes of a Native Son, right? Go Tell It on the Mountain, all of them essays. And, sometimes we forget that Baldwin started off as a journalist. And then, branched off into writing books or what have you. But, him being a journalist is really what started this journey of his to talk about his own identity as a Black man, his hatred of American capitalism, racism, and hypocrisy. He really hated that, but yet his love for his people. And interestingly enough, I was thinking about this when you asked me about it, and I started thinking about Baldwin and some of the stuff I had read about. Baldwin had a curiosity for his people and the things that they were going through, which I find very interesting. Baldwin's special, I mean, the way that he loved his people and the way that he got into, he deconstructed all of the ways in which the trauma that they were living, was real, right?
Can you remember when, right after he died, and I was trying to get Richard Wesley on because he was a part of it.
Oh yeah.
But it was we did a city-based memorial tribute to Baldwin. It was a very, I was the young poet at the time.
Okay.
In December 87. This is like March 88. And I was on the back end of my 20s, so I guess that's considered young, right?
Yeah.
I was younger than Amiri, I was younger than Richard, and I was younger than Sandra West.
Right.
And they asked me to do the praise poem for the event. I said, "Wow!"
Wow!
It was really heavy. I hadn't had a chance to talk to Sandra's daughter because I wanted to lift that up. You have to call Gon up and tell her that I'm talking about a mama today.
Wow!
On the back end of his life,
yes,
he was heavy too.
Yes,
the price of the ticket.
Yes,
evidence of things unseen. Talking about them crazy Atlanta child murders.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
He came back to that prophetic, insightful, prose writing that set him off with, his writings in the early days. And that price of the ticket really helped. I'm a young, trying to figure out how to be a young radical and whatnot, but it really helped me process and understand, the American machinery at making folks white or anything other than black, continue the exploitation of our people that America built this wealth on.
Right.
Price of the ticket knocked that out.
Knocked it out. And I think we see that same. Yeah, I totally agree. And I think we see that same fierceness and penetrating analysis in I Am Not Your Negro.
Tell it.
And that's you know what? I would love to teach Baldwin to high school students, forget these college students. Cause I taught a college class last semester and I have to tell you, I was not altogether happy with
like I used to be. I taught Baldwin in college too. So I have a similar, rhythm with that.
Yeah, but if we could get them, between the 8th and the 12th grade, that's when we need them. Actually, we could start earlier, but we could actually start in the 4th grade.
Why are we not giving our kids that stuff to read?
Right.
Why are we not exposing them to our classics as soon as we can, as opposed to when the few of us who get to college get there?
Exactly. It's that's us. That's on us.
Exactly right.
You know what? That's on us. And those are the things, that we don't talk about. We don't talk about that. Not, that's sad. That makes me sad. But when Baldwin said, "Everywhere I look, I only see dead and dying people." I mean, you have got to really deconstruct that. Baldwin is layered. He's got all these layers, that he's dealing with everywhere. I mean, he is at once and the same time, giving an essayist analysis of America, but also on his people.
Yeah.
He and part of that, he was talking about his family. He grew up in a very dysfunctional family.
He laid it out.
His father beat him all the time. They were poor.
Mm-hmm.
In fact, one of his teachers said,
"Church."
Yes, absolutely, every day. Although he does say if it wasn't for his mother, he might not have been able to make it there. But his stepfather really And he has this empathy for his stepfather later on. You see it in Notes of a Native Son, where he talks about this duality of his stepfather, dealing with the system that's on his back, got the foot on his back. And so he can't then be a man to his family. He can't be loving to his family. He doesn't know how, to navigate. And that's true for most of us. We don't know how to navigate that. I mean, I myself grew up in a home. My father had similar issues, not understanding how to deal with that capitalist machinery that was bearing down on him. And so his way of dealing with, we knew he loved us, but he didn't know how to really express that. And that's happened. That has happened a lot, and it's still happening. Especially with these brothers going to jail, and other brothers who are not going to jail if they're on drugs or they're in gangs, or they're just not curious enough.
Domestic violence.
Yes. Yes.
It comes out. It comes all that pent up stuff. When it comes out, it come out messy.
Hey, Marcia, before we run out of time, Marcia, I was wondering if we could do. I just want to go back to as you were talking about Baldwin, you were talking about the trauma and all of that, and as we talk about Black men, because this is one of the questions we asked Sister Abdullah when she was on the show. We were talking about her and Cornel West, and when they're running for office. But one of the questions we asked her was, how was she doing, right? And this, to the question of trauma, I would ask, because I want to ask this of all of us, right? Like, and I'm asking you directly, like, how are you doing? When you see Sonia Massey as a Black woman, and we know the history based on Malcolm's quote that the Black woman is the most unprotected woman in society. Mm-hmm. How are you doing seeing that? How are you doing?
Yeah, I mean, that's a very profound question. And I can't answer that. There's no one answer. It's like I'm struggling with that every day. Every day. When that happened, I mean, I keep losing pieces of my soul. And if I did not have faith, a spirituality to my existence, I would probably be out here trying to assassinate people. And then, of course, I would wind up either in jail or dead myself. Because, I had to say the other day, I was telling my daughter, I was like, when I saw this video, I don't watch the news. I stay away from Trump and MSNBC and all the news. I don't listen to that crap. It's all a distraction. Yeah. But my daughter was sending me this piece about this woman hitting a 95-year-old woman. She was taking care of her, and she was beating her. She beat on her. Let me tell you something. I would have killed that woman.
Videotape and all that mess. It was terrible. I saw that.
I would have killed that woman. And I know I had to call my daughter. We had to talk through it. Because I said, and she said, "Mommy, I would have done the same thing." And so we all the things that are happening, the Sonia Masseys of the world, we are unable to hold ourselves in a place of protectiveness, and that's, no people can live like that. There's a young girl that we've been praying for 3 years. Her name is Leah. She's from Nigeria. And she was captured. Remember when the Boko Kareem?
Yes.
They captured a whole school of girls. And she was one of 15. And 14 of them were let go after being sexually abused or whatever, after they renounced their Christian religion. She was the only one who would not renounce it. Now, as far as we know, she's still alive, but she's now 18. She was 15 when they caught her. And I said, I was speaking the other day on this topic, what will we be that our children can see? And I said, I wonder what our children think of us when we can't protect them from poverty, from hunger, from war, from refugeeism, from sexual abuse, from pedophiles, from people wielding machine guns coming into schools, gunning down children as they sit at their school desk. I mean, what in the world I said, I'm ashamed. Sometimes I think my children, I told my grandchildren, look, I'm going to tell you everything I know, how much I know, as long as I'm here, so that I will try to arm you as best as I can. But if we do not find the willingness to hold ourselves and protect ourselves from the very trauma, Ed, that you're talking about, we are going to march to the graveyards. That's what we are. We're on a march to the graveyard. And that should not be our prophecy.
Right.
With all that we've come through as a people,
right. All that we've sacrificed,
all that we've sacrificed to the people that we've lost, even those 70 million people whose bones still lie in the Atlantic, that they jumped off so that we would have a better life.
Right.
And so that we would understand too that, as Maya Angelou says, courage is a virtue.
That's right.
Right. Yeah.
And so, it's fine. We want to speak truth to power when it comes to Trump or whatever, but we need to speak truth about our own lives. We deserve to live.
Right.
Sonia deserved to live.
Right.
These young people deserve to live.
Right.
And I think, if there's one line that I think Baldwin, might summarize, that he believed that we all deserve to live.
Right.
Yeah.
To exercise our God-given, intelligence, and which is why he was so fierce about this nightmare that we call America.
Right.
So I do, I would say that to study Baldwin is to open up the opportunity to have a discussion about trauma. We can go through that in different ways, right? Because Baldwin was so willing to deal with it. But one of the things I want to bring up, because Zaid, I know you would appreciate this, Ed, too, but people are always asking, are these people relevant today? Is Baldwin relevant? We're celebrating his 100th and is Baldwin relevant? Well, of course he is. And we need to stop this thing where, we dissecting our people to put them on either the right or the left. We're more complicated than that. And so we have to do an analysis. Baldwin is relevant because he is Black and because he wrote about Blackness and because he wrote about the contradictions that face us as Black people. Baldwin is relevant because he spoke truth to power. Baldwin is relevant because he left so much of what he thought and wrote about for us to use, to grow from, to study. And Baldwin is relevant because he did speak to young people because he cared about them. So, the one of the things I want to bring up, you remember Harold Cruz and the whole crisis of the Negro intellectual. Harold Cruz,
forgotten big book of Black thought. That's right.
He talked about Baldwin like a dog. He said Baldwin was irrelevant. All he does was just talk. He was into rhetoric. He didn't have no position for us on how do we make a revolution. So, I'm in those days, I'm sure I was probably following Harold Cruz. But, today, the question of what is the role of the intellectual or the artist in making the revolution, actually, the question has to be, is there a revolution? Are we in a revolutionary period? I mean, we can't, and also, we're rethinking a lot of things, and we need to bring our young people into that space where it's okay to question, to challenge, to disagree. Don't be putting our business all out in the street. But, like I told my grandson, listen, if there's a problem, you bring it to the family and we will discuss it.
Yeah.
That's what we do. We bring it to the family.
That's the issue.
And I'll just say this, in terms of my last statement, in terms of my faith, I mean, like when that thing happened to Sonia, I was like, you know what? I ain't talking about no trial. Let's just do what we got to do. But because that's the point when you talk about how this is affecting us, that's the point that people get. I mean, you can't just keep robbing people of their legacy, of their humanity, and think all they're going to do is just go listen to Jay-Z and Beyonce.
That's right.
Yeah. We had brought back to memory, what had happened to one of our elders in Brooklyn. Back in the day when she was shot with a shotgun.
Yes. Eleanor
Bumpers, right? We remember we said then never again, but here we go in 2024, we got a young, mother who's murdered in our house. And, and all of us, when you talk about trauma, I think all of us are there, right?
Yeah.
We all are there. I think that for those of us who are brothers, because, Zaya and I and some of the brothers went through this last week, those of us who are conscious, we felt impotent and not being able to be there to help that sister.
Yeah.
And but punks like that guy always find his way around people to be able to take advantage of them.
Yeah.
Around real brothers, right? They don't stand up unless they got a badge and a gun.
Yes.
Other than that, they barely say anything, But I'm with you in terms of there's got to be another way for us to deal with this, and the question is that when is it really going to be enough for us? Because the one thing I said was, and I was making a statement to some former police officers, and I asked the brothers, I said, let me ask y'all a question, man. When are we and I was talking about black police officers, I said, when do y'all go around shooting white women in their houses? When do y'all murder them?
They wouldn't get back to the station. I know that.
Yeah, right? It would be anarchy, right? But that's what happens with us in our community. And so it's all of us are suffering some sort of form of trauma. And Marcia, so let me say two things to you, Marcia, before we let you go. One is I want to thank you for really just always riding with us, right? You saw the need for this program early on when you was at RU, and we thank you, Marcia, always. You'll always be part of what it is that we do, and if anybody ever says that we do any value, you take part of that credit, because you was there and you saw what we were trying to do. Unfortunately, some of the young people today don't really see what we do as value. But we thank you, Marcia, for that.
No, that was my honor and also my responsibility. So, as my mentor Jimmy Boggs used to say, you don't get credit for what you're supposed to do.
That's a conversation we have to have too.
That's right.
We have a conversation to talk about our radical roots.
Absolutely.
I finally got out to Detroit for a couple times the last couple of years for the first time, and I had a bunch of young folks that I had to tell them about Jimmy and Grace Boggs and
absolutely
all the warriors that came up out of Detroit. But
if we wanted to talk about some public, then what we should talk about is when something like Sonia happened, the whole black community should be saying, talking about it. And
we shut down 36 cities.
We're like walking like, oh God, what could they do again?
We shut down 36 cities, and Newark was one of them.
What the heck? I mean, we tell my grandchildren all the time, how they're supposed to act when they're out there. When the policemen stop you, you put your hands up in the air, you turn around. So if they shoot you, they have to shoot you in the front. You pull up your shirt, don't make no sudden moves. We shouldn't have to tell our children that. Right. But at the same time, I want them to live, right? I want them to live another day.
Yeah.
So don't do nothing. And we do, and to Ed's point, I mean, we have mental health issues. What we need to talk about that.
Yeah.
We have mental health issues because of the very thing that you're talking about, Ed. Because time and time again, as we have been raped and mutilated and tortured and left to die, materially and spiritually. What do you think?
All that unattended trauma. That's right.
We're becoming zombies, right?
Yeah.
Oh my God!
Our babies went through that COVID stuff.
Yes,
they are really on
absolutely. Oh my God, we haven't even deconstructed that yet.
Yeah.
The whole impact of COVID on our community.
Well, Marcia, you gotta come on more regularly. I'm loving the freedom. I'm
sorry, I know we can talk all night. I love being with you guys, but I know you got another show. So listen, I'm happy to come on. Come up, people messing with you, let me know. I'll still raise my voice.
All right. Thank you, Marcia.
What it's worth. Okay, love. Take care, guys. Love you.
All right. Appreciate you.
Bye-bye. Peace out.
Peace. What's good, my brother?
How you doing?
I'm good, man.
Is my mic going? Yeah, it's on.
Yeah, we hear you. We hear you fine. We hear you fine, Sean.
What's that?
Yeah, we hear you fine. You good. You good.
Oh, okay.
Welcome to the show, Sean. You ain't no stranger. You know what I mean? Welcome back, brother.
All right. Thanks for having me.
So listen, man. I understand that you putting your hat back in the race again to run for Central Ward councilman. You want to talk to us about that?
Yeah, well, I mean, I see that MacGyver, she ran for Congress, and she has a legitimate shot of getting the seat. So, I just felt like, the seat is going to be vacant. Why not run again? I just ran 2 years ago. I mean, that was my third time actually running for Central Ward. So, I mean, I know the process used to be the next highest vote getter, which, the last election, it was only her and I that ran in the election. But, I think they changed the process since then. And they got to have a special election. I was told that, they have 30 days or something like that after the seat is vacated to maybe appoint somebody. I'm not sure. Don't quote me on it, but this is what I was told. And if the council doesn't agree with whoever, they're trying to appoint, the election may be next year, which is crazy to me. But, with having the seat vacant for, a long period of time. And then if you run next year, you got to run again in 2026. So, it's a short process. I'm just trying to wait it out and see how they line it up and how it goes. So if I'm still comfortable at whichever way they set it up, I'll see if I still want to run or if I don't want to run. You know what I'm saying? So I got to see the process. I don't know the process, so I got to see how it plays out, and then I'll take it from there. But right now, yes, I'm putting my hat in the ring.
We need to do a whole segment just on the process. Listen, I appreciate you lifting that up.
You were saying, Zaid?
No, I said we need to do a whole segment on the process for the claiming of that seat. We haven't done that. That does need to be unpacked. We've been looking at the shift of daughter over to the congressional race, but how this whole process plays out right here for the seat itself is a conversation that needs to be had.
But Sean, we've been through this before, though, right? I mean, we went through this with the Congressman Payne. Remember when he got elected, and he had to and he went to Congress. Remember the seat was vacant, and they were trying to Cory Booker was trying to appoint yeah. You remember that?
I remember that.
Yeah. So this is similar.
Right.
That. So we can look at, that's the only, if we were in a court of law, obviously we would say this, the only, case law we got. The only thing I've seen similar to that. So I don't know the process either. Obviously, we need to try and find and talk to some people, but we saw how that turned out, right? In terms of what went on there. Right. But I guess if it comes down to the next highest vote getter, it would seem like that person would be you, right? So
yes, it definitely would be. I mean, we were the only two that ran in 2022.
Right. Y'all went to a runoff, didn't y'all?
No, we were the only two candidates.
Yeah, that's right. Calfani said the same thing about the last time he ran for Congress, right? Against Donald, that he was the second. Well, he was the second vote. He had the number of votes, and he should be considered for the seat. And you're getting a lot of love in the chat. Principal Kafele shouting you out. So you're getting some love.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I mean, we were in a runoff in 2018.
That's what. Yeah.
We're in a runoff
in
2022. Nobody actually stepped up to the plate. I was kind of watching to see, who was going to run for Central Ward.
Right.
Nobody stepped up, so I felt as though, why not give it another shot? Right. I know she was the incumbent. She was on the mayor's team, but it's a process. So I think people should have to go out and vote. I don't think someone should just be able to walk in. But in this case, when the seat is vacated, I believe that the next highest vote getter should get the seat. I mean, right. I remember when Donald Tucker passed and Mayor Baraka had got his seat. I think he was the next highest vote getter, and he went into the South Ward seat with about 6 months left before the general election, and then he won the general election.
Right.
I mean, I haven't followed this since then. I see Crump when his mom stepped down, he was put in, but then they said it wasn't enough time to have a special election. So I guess they voted him in, which I didn't understand either, because he didn't even run for at large in the general election before that. Right. So, it's a funny process, man. And like I said, I'm just watching how it play out. I'm reading the certain articles that, they're putting out. I see Andre Spate, has put his hat in the ring as well. I know he ran in 2014 with Shavar Jeffries. Mm-hmm. And I think Andre Tillman announced that he's going to run for Central Ward. So I'm sure it's going to be a whole bunch of people coming out once everybody figure out what's going on.
Right.
Which I don't think is fair, but, that's the process.
But I think that Zaid is correct. I think that what we're going to do is that, I would say, if not next week, within the next 2 weeks, get some election professionals together and then try to have them come on and explain that process to us, right? So that you all will know exactly what that process is, right? And it would be interesting, because if it does come down to legitimately saying that, well, the rules say that, Sean rightfully should be the next person because of the number of votes he get, then I can't see, with the level of support that you had and still have in the community, why that wouldn't be the case, right? So we're going to do our part, but let's talk about it, Sean, a little bit in terms of what your candidacy would look like, man. What would that look like? You going in based on what you see in the Central Ward, and of course, what's been done over the last 2 terms.
Well, I mean, me, I'm more community. I can work with anyone as long as it got the best interests of the people in the city of Newark at heart. I have no problem working with people. I'm not sure what agenda that the current Central Ward council person has in place with being the council person of the Central Ward, but of course, whoever comes into that seat, and if it's myself, I would have to have a dialogue just to understand what's going on within the last 2 years or the last 6 years that she's been the council person. Me myself, I just think I bring authenticity to the seat, because I'm in the community. I can, I think people just want to be able to touch you sometime. You know what I mean? Like, politics is politics, and I have no problem with that. And like I said, and every time that I ran for councilman, I would surround myself with people who may know a little more than I do about the politics of it. You know what I mean? But the community part is a no-brainer for me. I mean, I see a lot of things in the Central Ward, and the Central Ward is a big ward, and everybody don't have the same problems, because the ward is very diverse. Some communities may not have any issues, or it may be minor issues. Some communities have major issues, but I think I can bridge that gap. Like, people trust me. I've worked in the community mostly all my life since I was 16 years old. And I've developed relationships with a lot of different people. And just from talking to people and dealing with the youth, adults, working in the mental health field, like, I feel as though people would, they believe in me and don't think I would steer them wrong. And I hear people say, politics is different. You can go in one way and you'll come out another way. And I tell people the same thing, man. I've been this way all my life. I don't know how to be something else. You know what I mean? As far as like changing who I am, to appease people. And, I understand the work has to be done, but I think you can be yourself and still get the work done.
Full authentic self. That's right.
Right.
Well, you lifted up something that folks don't think about you with, right? That we should talk about it. We just, we ended our last segment talking about it. The whole question about your relationship working with people working in the mental health field.
Right.
Tell us about that side of Sean McCray, right? And why that's important right now.
Well, I mean, people look at me, I'm 6'5", I got dreadlocks, I'm 300 pounds. So first thing people say is you don't seem like you're approachable. And I am approachable. I'm a compassionate guy, I care. And working in the mental health field, I used to work for Essex County Mental Health from 1998 to 2005 before I went into no public school. So I was a case manager for adults with mental illness. And we covered Irvington and the South Ward of Newark. So what I had to do was link, anyone coming out of the hospitals, which a lot of them are closed now, Essex County, Greystone, just different Marlborough Hospital, and even coming out of Beth Israel and UMD, which is Rutgers now. We used to deal with the patients that go in on the psych ward, and they would link them to us, and we would have to provide services for them in the community, like whether it be getting the ID, administering medication. Well, not administering medication. Make sure they're picking up and taking their medication, and linking them to like outpatient programs like Prospect House up in East Orange. I think Beth Israel had a program, and you get to understand that we see people in the community, and a lot of them are not taking, they're on medication and not taking their medication. So, they're out here doing different things. But when people are stable on their medication and they have the right support, it goes a long way, man. And I worked in that field for 8 years. I had a caseload of maybe 20 clients, at a time, no less than 15. And we just service the community, man. And I've been in some situations where someone was decomping and they was like, out of their mind for a minute. And I got up out of the situations. I feel as though I'm, I know how to be even keel. I'm not overly aggressive. I think things out. I got a level head, man. I don't react. I think about both sides of the situation. So, and the mentally ill population has gotten worse since then, I believe, anyway, from what I see. And it's not a lot of services, man. We have to bring services back for the mentally ill because, a lot of them are out there, family sometimes give up on them. And if they do live with family, they have them in the basement by themselves. So they're kind of, not being engaged, and they don't have any, social skills because the family maybe feels some type of way about them and they're tucked away. But, it's a tough field. And I think, if we provide more services or people that, care about that population, it might be different. I mean, there's always going to be people with mental issues. I mean, we all have some form of mental illness. It just takes something up for drastic that might bring it out of us. When people lose a family member or they're in a traumatic situation, sometimes it brings it out and they never come back from it. So we all have some type of form of mental illness inside of us, but, sometimes we don't get in situations where it comes out. But a lot of people have different issues that was going on in their life. And, it just got to care, man. And I think that's what I bring to any position. I care about the people I'm working with. It's certain things you can do. Sometimes we say, I'm tired of working with this person, but you got to keep trying to work with them because that one day it might click and that person may start doing the right thing. I just learned that from dealing with kids. We look at kids and we say, oh, all the kids are messed up, but some of them change in different forms of their life. It's just it's how much energy you put into them and how much support they have.
Give them something to put in their toolkit. That's right.
Yeah.
I was going someplace with the question, a couple places. One is that there is, in this, Newark is one of the respected hubs of what we call community-based violence intervention. Mm-hmm. And there is a building out or an effort to build out, increased services, as you so rightly put it, of folks needing, mental health attention, right? One of the things that I'm personally very passionate about is trying to get more younger brothers to go into the field, social workers, psychologists, therapists, right? We carrying a lot of the problems.
Right. No, you're right.
Carrying a lot of the problems, and and we need those, those kind of, like you're a beloved coach. Everybody know you. You understand? Like that's real. We everybody know you, right? Young people know you, right? So I mean, so in certain people that know you in crunches, you somebody they could come to, right? And we need a phalanx of more brothers with those kind of training and capacity and credentials, to really help us on our own journey to healing as a community, and as a people. I'm really concerned that there's just not enough of us doing this for all of the good intent that is coming with all the other things that are happening, right? Brothers are very much in the forefront of high risk, in community-based violence intervention. But what's the next step? Right? We stop a beef, we de-escalate a beef and whatnot. We grab somebody who's just been harmed and who's been in a crisis. Where do they go next? Right? And they need places and spaces to go to that look like us. So I'm trying to, that's just me, using my little, pulpit. The sisters is carrying their load and then some, as always. But with this reimagining of the field, right? We need to challenge our young men to really get in it, and really help us on our own journey to healing and repair. Yeah, so that's I had to get that in. You get love, Principal Kafele. He's laying out some good stuff, right? Yeah. So yeah, that's.
But let me ask you this, Brother Sean. I mean, I don't know if you had a chance to hear some of what Marcia Brown was saying, as we were talking about, the great Baldwin, the great James Baldwin. She was talking about, he would always talk about the trauma of Black people. So as Zaid was talking about, and you were talking about,
he was ahead of his time in that. We didn't say that. I'm gonna say that now. Yeah, go ahead.
We had some we all have some mental illness. Is it mental illness as much as we all, the Black folk, are suffering from trauma based on what has happened to us 400 years, and then what we continue to see today? Is that, and knowing that, when we were finally freed by, these white folks, that we never received the kind of help, the kind of mental help that we needed, right, coming out of slavery 400 years ago. And so therefore it continued to go on. And then now what we see, right, from white folks is as early as what we saw, with the killing of Sonia Massey. Are we suffering from this daily trauma? And that is what we call it mental illness? Or is it just that all of it?
Yeah, all of that. Mm-hmm.
Is that what that is?
No, I believe that plays a major part as well, especially children, even adults. But that's tough, man, because every day we walking outside your house is trauma, man. Some of the stuff we see on the street, living in certain communities, some communities are different than others. Some people may see nothing, they may see nothing going on in their community, but some areas of the city or even the United States, in the areas that we live in, the inner cities, it's trauma every day. Some kids, and I'm in the school system. Some kids are afraid to walk certain places. I think that's trauma. If I walk across this street, that something's going to happen to me. Yeah, I'm traumatized of something. It may not even happen, but it's just the point of trying to get from A to B. And it's funny you said that because I use this stuff in basketball or in life. We had a game one time and we were playing a team from Woodland Hills, California. And I looked them up and they had big houses and swimming pools, the area where the school was. I don't know if those kids lived there, but, we were down at halftime and I had to bring up some trauma. A boy in the hood, and I said, we playing guys from Woodland Hills, California. They not from Compton. They not from where Ricky got shot. You know, that was my spiel. And they looked at me like, wow, he like, you know what I'm saying? You guys you got to find a ride. You know, you got to walk home and go around corners that you probably don't want to go around. These kids getting driven home. It was a mind thing. And you know, we were down 15 at the half, and we came back, took the lead. We lost by 1, but it was the speech of they really understanding that, wow, we do got it. We have it tough. Some people don't have it as tough of us as we have it. And
like that. That's right.
You got to pull that out of them and show them that, you know, it's not, everybody here is not living everybody in the world is not living the way you're living. You know, some people get up every day and not that they don't have a worry in the world, but they have to, they don't have the same problems that you have. So I think our kids and adults, because we have adults that are having kids that's not ready to have kids. So they're in situations where they have to survive, and they haven't been taught to survive. I mean, I had it when I had my kid. Nobody taught me how to be a father. I had to learn. You know what I'm saying? I didn't grow up with my father, so you know I had to learn how to be a father.
I struggle with that mightily.
Right, and I would, you know, my mom wasn't married, so I struggle with relationships sometimes because I've never seen a relationship. So we think this stuff is like, you know, that's trauma. If you really look at it, because you don't know how to adapt to that because you've never been in that situation, and you're learning on the fly. So I think a lot of our kids and adults, you know, they go through that and they don't know how to. We don't know how to express ourselves, especially men. You know, women, you know, they can express themselves. So I think, you know, it's a lot of issues that leads up to the mental illness, you know, and it's not being addressed. It's being addressed when they go to the psych ward and, you know, they got to be released in the community and they linking them to different services. But what about addressing it before it even gets to that part? And that's not being done. And it's a lot of things that's overlooked in our communities. And sometimes I just shake my head like, some of this stuff don't add up to me. So, you know, that's another reason why I want to run for council, because I think there's resources in being in the political government. There's resources that I believe, I could be wrong, that's not being put in our communities that's needed. And I think if I'm there, I can be that voice for the voiceless, you know, for the voiceless people that I've been told, those people, we don't worry about them. And I'm bothered by that because I come from that. Right. You know what I mean? I live the way some of these people live.
That's right. We are them.
Right. Maybe not as bad as some people, because, you know, I grew up in a home where mom provided, and my neighborhood, you can knock on the door and you can ask for something and they'll give it to you because that was a community. We've lost that. And I still, with the programs I run, I always say, you know, our motto at Central is 1, 2, 3 Central, 4, 5, 6 family. Like we're family. This is your family now. You're gonna know these kids for the rest of your life. So I try to build that wherever I go, a family atmosphere where we can rely on each other. And I think a lot of things are not put in the community. And people say, oh, you can't just keep talking about the community. Nah, I understand how the political field works. I can do that too. You know what I mean? I've organized for 30 years. I've ran leagues. I've dealt with people outside of Newark. I've done a lot of different things, man. I'm not just a basketball coach. And, you know, I went to college for criminal justice and sociology. Like, I understand people, like, you know what I mean? And I think I'm that gap that's missing from the community to City Hall. And everybody keep on getting a shot. Why I can't get a shot? You know what I mean? If it doesn't work, then maybe it's not for me. In the next 4 years, I might say, you know what? That's not for me. I'm gonna walk away from it, because that's not my life. And I know a lot of politicians, they're born into that. You know what I mean? I wasn't born into being into politics, but if it's just something that I've been doing all my life that's drawing me that way. And I just want to see if I can make that difference that I believe a lot of politicians don't make. And if I'm thinking the wrong way, I'll find out if I ever get there. You know what I mean? If I get in that seat, I could see and I could tell people, look, it's no, I can't do it. Or we could sit down and collectively try to do something, but at the end of the day, it might not happen. And I think that's what people want to hear sometimes, because we always say we're gonna do this, and then when you get in, you don't do it. People say, "Well, you said you were gonna do it," but I think that's where we go wrong.
Well, you know, it's interesting, man. I appreciate your conversation, man. It seems real authentic, you know, just in terms of, you know, what we are as brothers,
Right.
you know, being able to have a conversation about, you know, because there's not, you know, we have another brother. I don't know if you know Mike Barbie. You know,
What's the last name?
Michael
Barbie.
No, I don't. You know, I'm good with faces. I ain't good with names.
Yeah. So Michael Barbie is, you know, he's you know, a brother that's working in that field, and you know, he comes on and we'll talk to him, and it is, you know, always like he was saying, you know, we have an issue as Black men expressing ourselves to each other. Our sisters can do that, but you know, for us, we can't really do that, and so that adds to this whole level of mental trauma and stress, and then turns into this mental
violence
and so forth, right? And then sometimes it, you know, we act out, right, and that becomes violent, and you know, and that causes us to end up in places that we shouldn't end up in, right? And 9 times out of 10, you know, we end up
prison.
right? We end up in that system, and so
but I want that. I don't mean to cut you off, but I tell my kids that. I tell grown people this: if you know, like you just said, sometimes we act on anger, like we just lash out. But I tell them, you know, if you put yourself in a situation, it just doesn't affect you. It affects everybody around you. So if you're the head of the household, or people relying on you, and you put just like you said, we end up in the system. Yeah. And now we're leaving people out there for other people to take care of that may not be as genuine as you. So I try to tell them, you know, don't put yourself in that situation, because it's people that think about it. Whatever you're going to do, think about both sides of it, because there is another side. You know, there's consequences for your actions. And, you know, I didn't mean to cut you off, but that's the logic I give to people that I deal with. And sometimes it works and sometimes it doesn't. But, you know, I try to let them know. And then when they get caught in that system, I get that phone call and they're like, "Oh, gee, I should have listened to you." Yeah. And it's like, well, you know, you got to do what you got to do now, and just, you know, handle it. And when you come out now, you know, you got a little experience. I don't know if you want to go back. Hopefully you don't. But, you know, now you know how it feels to be somewhere where you don't want to be.
Yeah. But what you just said, Sean, is real talk, right? You know, obviously, you know, when you make that mistake, you have to think about, you know, there's a scripture in the Bible that says, "What man sitting down to build the house doesn't count the cost first," right? Count the cost. What is it going to cost me? You know what I mean? If you got a daughter, if you got a son, and you live, you know, in a household where they depend on you and they depend on your paycheck. Right. So think about, what is that going to cost you? You here now, all of a sudden you there, right? Now what happens? You need bail, right? You need a lawyer, right? Now locked up. Now that's going to take money that you don't have, right? And now that's taking money, food out of your daughter or your son's mouth, right? The problem is we don't have these conversations with people like you, right? Young boys don't have access to people like you, right? Or people like Zaid, or people like me. And so, and that is partly because we don't talk, right? We don't share what we're dealing with. Sometimes, you know, we get into this group mentality, right? And whatever that group is doing, we go do it because the group is doing it.
The group is doing it,
but we do it because they're doing it. Instead of being able to have that conversation with some brothers who can help us and say, "Hey, man, you know, think about what you're going to do before you do it." I read somewhere where somebody said that if you're going to pick up a gun, right, and you're a young man, do this before you make that decision. Go lock yourself in your bathroom, right, and stay there for 23 hours. Don't come out. Don't talk to nobody. And if you can handle that for 25 years, go take care of your business.
I know that's right.
But if you can't stay in that bathroom and don't come out of there with 23 hours, you got your answer, man.
Right. I
Right?
agree.
Because that's the cost that you got to pay for that kind of decision. But we need brothers like yourself, right, to be able to have those kind of conversations. So listen, man, I want to say good luck to you, man, in terms of you putting your hat back in the race, and I think it would be a contribution, I know, to our community with someone with your kind of experience, based on not only what you've done there at Central, but of course the way you lived your life, period, man. Right? Everybody, strangers, Sean, right? That's right. To everybody in our community, right? Everybody know you. Everybody know the price you paid. Everybody knows some of the decisions you made in your life. So for us, man, you would be the one dude, I think, that when they say people going to politics and change, you might just be that one dude to go there and don't change. You might be that one dude to go there and change that shit.
You're right. And that's what I'm saying. Why not me? I mean,
that opportunity to see what happens, right? So
right.
Sean, you didn't change. You are that dude, huh?
Well, I mean, hopefully that's the outcome. And like I said, people just want to touch you, man. And sometimes you might only come through one time, and they'll say, "Oh, he never come in the community," and be like, "Nah, he came around here." It could be that one time in 4 years, and they'll fight for you, they'll defend you. But if you're not visible, and giving away things is cool. Don't get me wrong, because we need things. But I'm talking about visible, just walking through. Hey, how you doing? Without the entourage. You know what I mean? I'm such and such. I'm the councilman. I just wanted to come out and meet you. Like, people get scared when they see a group of people, when they see all these MG cars pulling up and the big mobile units. They say, "Oh, I'm out of here." We got to be able to come to people and without all that, and I think they'll appreciate it a little more, and they might open up. Like you said, we don't have conversations. They may open up if it's not so many people coming through my neighborhood looking like they bum rushing the neighborhood. You know what I mean? Right. If you just come and genuinely say, "Hey, I just want to have a conversation," I think they'll talk to you. That's just me, because I see it. I've done it, so I know. What I mean? So, but I mean, hopefully, like I said, I'm gonna find out what the process is, and hopefully, it's not a long process. It's not a drawn out process, and then we'll see what happens from there.
Yeah, we're gonna approach this, probably next week or the week after. We'll get some election professionals on, some lawyers. So just kind of stay tuned, man. We'll get them on and have a conversation. Hey, Rhino, you want to ask our brother the proverbial question?
What's going on, brother?
Hey, how you doing, bro?
Doing all right. This is also a hip hop show. It's political hip hop show, and what we like to do is ask our guests, what in hip hop do you listen to now that inspires you in what you do? It could be new, it could be old.
Well, I'm an avid Tupac fan, man. I just think that his music is a testament of, like, it never died. Like, it's like everything he talks about is still going on to this day. You know what I mean? So when I get down or when I'm feeling a certain type of way, I throw his album on, throw a song on, and it gets me back to where, I need to be. You know what I'm saying? So he inspires me. I wish I would have met this guy, and I wish he was still around now, because I would just want to see what type of person be now.
I say that all the time.
And I respect the fact how he was raised, because he was raised by Panthers, and I caught the end of that, man. I mean, I was born in '67. I think the Panthers kind of faded out in the maybe early '80s or something like that. But I remember it was an office on Springfield Avenue. I'm not sure if it was a Black Panther office, right where the Social Security building is at right now. It used to be like a Panther office right there, because my mom used to be on Hayes Street, and we used to have to walk back past there to get home, because I lived in Hayes Homes. But I used to see a bunch of brothers in there, and they just looked like, it was like, I don't know, it was uplifting back then, man. I miss those days. I wish I could have been a part of, that Panther movement, And I try to incorporate some of that stuff in what I do about, that's part of the community, that Panther movement, that was community, all that stuff they was doing. And that's what
community survival programs.
What's that?
62 community survival programs.
Okay, so yeah, that's where I'm at. And Tupac, man. I mean, I was a KRS-One fan before Tupac. I just like positive rap, man. Even the rappers now, if something come out that catches me and it seems like they talking about what I'm going through or what's going on right now, I listen. You know, I listen to them. Like, but I'm more of an old school guy. You know, I like the old school because I can understand the lyrics for one. And you know, it just was moving music back in the day. You know, the music just was different. It was uplifting music, actually.
So you said you were born in 68?
67.
67.
Right. Right before I was born in February of 67. I know the riots was like June or July of 67.
Music we had back then was
you know, Sean, we don't call them riots, brother. We call it.
I mean, the uprising or rebellion. Yeah. My fault.
Yeah. So Sean, we want to thank you, brother. We appreciate you coming on, man.
I appreciate it.
Good luck, man. You know what I mean?
Right.
And you know, you're welcome to come this way anytime you want, brother.
Okay,
you know,
I appreciate that, man.
Appreciate your time. And really, all the lives you sold into, brother. We appreciate that, man.
I want to get a lot of more, man. I got a lot more time left. I mean, I got more time behind me than I got in front of me, but I want to use the time that I got.
That's right. We're not done.
Well, we thank you, brother. We
appreciate y'all, man. Keep pushing.
Yes, sir.
All right, keep me
up. Peace, brother. Right. What's going on, Rhino?
What's happening, y'all?
You, brother.
Yeah. All right.
You got your Rhino shirt on today. What's up?
Rhino, hold on a second. I was trying to make sure, Rhino, you get on and get your time, brother. When you come on, we be like, yo, Rhino, because we always pushing you. We all right, well, let's push Rhino a little bit. He got 5 minutes. Rhino, we push.
You know what it is, man? I'll be trying to make sure that the guests before me are getting their time. Like the brother just now, Sean, I know he came on at 8:10. So right. I said I'll come on at like 8:40. You know what I'm saying? Make sure he gets his full 30. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. We you know, I mean, I'm just trying to, you know, because I know when you get on, I'm pushing you all the time. I'm like, all right, I got to push Rhino right now. You know what I mean? But yeah, man. So what's up, Rhino? What's going on in the world? By the way, man, how was your set last week, man? When you went up to New York? Remember you played out?
Oh yeah. Played at my old old neighborhood. Yeah, Amsterdam Project. Yeah. Nah, it was good. We had a good time, man. We had a real good time. Yeah. So it was me, R Train, my man Max Jerome from out here came through. My man DJ Rich from Morristown, he came through. He actually brought his system, so it was his system that we were rocking on.
Okay.
But nah, yeah, we had a real good time. I brought my mom with me.
Oh wow!
This time, you know, because you know that was her neighborhood. You know what I'm saying? Before me, so yeah. So we had a great time. My daughter was with us. It was good to see, the heads that are still around. You know what I'm saying? That we grew up with. You grew up seeing all of these faces, man, and we lost a lot too. You know, we lost many, but the ones that are still around, man, it's crazy to see them now, and just just to see them still around and doing well. You know, so it was good. It was a good thing. Yeah, it was good. We had fun.
Glad to hear that, man.
Yeah. Before I go into all the other good stuff that went down, let me just I want to say rest in peace to Chino XL.
Yeah,
we lost Chino XL on the 28th of this past month. Derek Barbosa, he was 50 years old. He started out in New York City, but he moved out here, and he was going to school in East Orange. So that's why people in Jersey, we claim Chino. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
And even within my circle, some of my circles, Boom Squad and Outsiders and all of us, Naughty and all of us, man. Chino's been a part of these circles. You know what I'm saying? Chino's always been around. He's always been one of those underground lyricists, like heavy hitter lyricists. You know what I'm saying? And yeah, man, he was just one of those dudes, man, that you knew he was lethal lyrically, and he was just always around, man. You know what I'm saying? He's done a lot of features. He's one of those cats that never really got his just due as an artist. I'm saying he never really got his full just due. I mean, he's put out albums. He's been in the game since '92.
Right.
But yeah, he never really got his full just due, man. So a lot of people out here in Jersey, man, especially East Orange, man, feeling it, man, feeling the loss.
Was he sick, Rhino? What was he sick?
I'm not sure. I still don't know what it is. Nowadays the families don't let that stuff out right away. You know what I'm saying?
But he was only 50 years old.
He was 50 years old, and I didn't know he was that young. Actually, I thought he was a little old. I thought he was more closer to my age. I'll be 54. But yeah, nah, man. Rest in peace, Chino XL, man. That was a heavy loss, man. That blew me away because it was like we didn't even know he was sick. Honestly, we lost also DJ Polo, which also blew me away because I didn't know he was sick. Some people did. I got word from some folks that they knew that he wasn't doing well and he was trying to get through some things, man. But I had no idea. So when I heard about Polo, matter of fact, I got the word about Polo at the Amsterdam reunion. I was in the middle of DJing, and and I got something on my phone and it came up. Said DJ Polo was going. I was like, what? So and for those who don't know, DJ Polo was the DJ for Cool G Rap and Polo Poison. And actually I remember Polo. I remember Polo even before Cool G Rap. DJ Polo was he had put out a single back in 1985. He was with a group called the Terminators, and he had a song called Polo, and it was and that's what it was. Polo. That was back in '85. You know what I'm saying? That was before he got with Cool G Rap. And when he got with Cool G Rap, they put out It's a Demo and I'm Fly. That was the first single with Cool G Rap and Polo. But they had a good run. I mean, that was, we talking about mid 80s. Cool G Rap and Polo was doing stuff all the way up through at least the mid to late 90s, before Cool G Rap decided to, before they parted ways. Before Polo and Cool G Rap parted ways. But Polo was always that dude, man. He was, I look at him as an OG. He was 63. We lost Polo at the age of 63.
All the time. Yeah.
His original name is Thomas Poe. So Polo was in there, right? But yeah, rest in peace to DJ Polo, man. That was another shock too. Like I said, I caught that right in the middle of the
hearing about Erica Ash.
Erica Ash, yeah.
This is a comedian actress, right? Only 46.
And,
I'm like, what the hell happened to this young girl? And I didn't realize she was as old as she was 46. I thought she was younger than that. I'm like, man,
yeah, she looked a lot younger. Yeah. Yeah, it's a shot, man. And this is the thing, though. It's like I don't, it's weird when you hear about these deaths and you don't know what's going on. Because back in the day, we used to hear, oh, he died of this, or she died of that. You don't get that information instantly anymore. You don't. Sometimes you don't ever get that information, but or you get it like months later or whatever. But yeah, it's crazy, man. People are dropping and we don't know what's going on. And that concerns me.
Yeah.
Because I would like to at least be up on what's happening, what's happening with folks' health. You know what I mean? What's going on in people's lives.
And we need to be able to have these conversations about our health and our well-being and need to be able to take care of ourselves and take care of each other.
Yeah,
so
man. Most definitely.
Dropping up out of here in our 40s and our 50s. That's, nah.
Yeah, man. Yeah. So now let's talk about some good stuff. Let's talk about some folks that's still around doing it.
How about that? Come on.
All right. The God of Law, Rakim. I mentioned it last week when I was on the show that I heard the album. It's 7 songs. The name of the album is God's Network, The Rebirth. It's 7 songs. And I know I had mentioned that I had, the ones that stood out the most for me were the 2 last ones, International and Sign of 7. But I also said that I had to listen to the album some more because I only heard it just that one time. So I listened to it some more, Again, BL, which is the first song in there, which is the first release with Master Killer and Corrupt. That one's dope. You know, I got to listen. This is the thing. I got to listen a little bit more and really pay more attention to the work that Rakim was doing, production wise and DJ wise. You know what I'm saying? Because that's the part that we're not familiar with of Rakim. You know what I'm saying? So I wanted to study that a little bit more and just listen to what his work sounded like. And Rakim, man, he's kind of nice on the wheels with the cuts. I didn't know he was going to be that precise. He's pretty sharp with it on the cuts, man. So yeah, and the beats and all the beats. That's one thing about the album. All the beats on the album, they go through. They definitely go through it. It's almost a feel good album as far as a good fresh hip hop album to listen to.
We need some of them too.
Yeah, we need that, man. You know, so yeah, so BL, Love is the Message, God's Playground, and then like I said, International and Sign of Seven. Those are the
rappers in that mix, isn't he? We could talk about him.
Huh?
He's in the mix on that production, isn't he? Cool G Rap.
Oh, he's one of the lyricists on there. He's one of the lyricists on there. And speaking of that, Chino XL, on his last verses, is on Rakim's album. Wow. You know, so that was a shock to me too. That's why I was so shocked to hear about Chino XL. I'm like, oh, he just did a verse with Rakim. Like they just did something. Like he was just working. You know, so it was just weird to hear that Chino. And then another thing about Chino, for all the time that I've known Chino always been stocky, looking built, look like he's fit and in shape. You know what I'm saying? So to hear about him just being gone is like, what? You know?
Yeah.
It's really unexpected, man. But check out Chino's verse on Rakim's album.
Yeah.
Yeah. Definitely. Please check out that album. The name of the album again is God's Network, The Rebirth. Somebody else who's still rocking, and man, I was at NJ Pack yesterday. You know, NJ Pack on Thursdays during the summertime, they do the Sounds of the City where they have free concerts outside.
Right.
So yesterday was KRS One Day.
Really? Okay.
Yeah, and KRS came out and
he's being too for come out because he's doing so much behind the scenes.
Yeah, and because you know right now what he's doing real big right now, and he's trying to direct all the people to it right now is the Temple of Hip Hop on Ludlow.
Right.
Yeah, right there on Ludlow. I haven't been yet, but I'm definitely going. I'm going as soon as I can. Mm-hmm. But yeah, and I remember back in the days when he was first starting the whole idea of the Temple of Hip Hop, right at the Armory on Sussex Avenue, where I used to DJ at. Right before I was DJing there, KRS, Hakeem Green, my man Kurt Nice, Jaja Shakur, they were all working on Temple of Hip Hop during then at the Armory on Sussex Ave, and then and now look where it's at. I mean, he's got his own facility for it, man. And from what I've heard from people that have gone there, it's definitely something we got to check out. Yeah. He's got it. He said they running that thing tight up in there. So yeah. So, but yeah, he came to NJ Pack last night and did his thing. What was crazy though is that Monday night I got a call from my man Mikumari to be a part of the show, to be part of the opening show for KRS. So he called me up Monday. We met on Tuesday, and then Wednesday I put some stuff together, and Thursday we did it. You know, so basically what I did, I was DJing for the break dancers. So they have an arts education there. Remember Purple Haze that we had on the show?
Yes.
She was the one that started that program over there for kids. She's not with them anymore, but Mikumari is working with these kids, and Maurice Chestnut. Maurice Chestnut. I always get them mixed up, the names mixed up. Maurice Chestnut, the tapper. He was one of the great tappers out here in Brick City. He's also an instructor there. So
a tap dance.
Yeah, man, and Maurice is nasty with it, man. He's nasty. So he's teaching the kids that. So yesterday, what I did a breakbeat set for the break dancers. Then this other brother Don, he was the DJ for some of the young kids, the young rappers that were there. And then and then Maurice, and he also DJ'd for the tappers, and Maurice was also out there doing some tapping too. And they all killed it. Everybody killed it. The kids killed it. And then of course Mitty was on stage. Mitty was up there. He was really the opener because he was the last DJ to rock right before.
Mitty loves DJing.
Yeah, he was the last one to rock before KRS. And me and Mitty was talking before the show. I was doing sound check, and it was so good that I had switched, because originally what Miku Mari wanted me to do was what Mitty ended up doing, which was going through a bunch of hip hop classics, running through a whole bunch of hip hop classics. But the time that we had was short, so I was like, nah, I don't want to do that. I'm going to flip it to break beats. I'll do break beats, and he already had break dancers that he wanted to be a part of the show. So we said, all right, that'll be perfect. And then Mitty ended up doing the set that I was originally supposed to do. So that worked out really good. You know what I'm saying? And so things just timed out perfectly. KRS showed up around 7:15 and got on that stage, man, and ripped it, man. And ripped it. But once again, I want to say big ups to the arts education.
You just muted yourself, Rhino.
I want to say what's up to the arts education instructors as well as the staff at NJPAC. I saw, I used to work at NJPAC back in 2003, from 2003 to
over there. A few of y'all over there.
Yeah, from 03 to 06. Me and my man Malik used to work over there at NJPAC, so I got to see a lot of some of my old co-workers there. So big ups to the NJPAC staff there, arts education crew. Big ups to the students, of course. Big ups to me, Kamari, and Treasure. Big ups to Maurice Chestnut as well. Just everybody, man. Hakeem Green. Hakeem was there. He hit me off with the flyer.
I know he was.
You know that. You know what he was doing.
For 24 hours, no doubt.
Yeah, 24 hours apiece.
Yeah, I'm going to be in Cuba.
24 hours apiece, August 20th.
All the sisters, that's right.
With all the sisters. And I'm just going off just the picture. I see Lady Rage, Roxanne Shante, Yo-Yo, Nikki D, Sunshine Anderson, Moni Love, Rod Digger, Maya, Lady London. This is going to be crazy, man. It's going to be crazy. And I know how Hakeem.
And what's the date on that, Rhino? What's the date?
That's August 23rd and 24th.
Okay.
Yeah. And I know how Hakeem is. There's going to be some other surprises.
That's going to be hot. Yeah, it's going to be hot.
Yeah. So definitely come through. It's going to be a celebration of the women, and you see what's going on now. We're in that age right now where we got to support the women, man. Let's do it. So definitely come through if y'all can. August 23rd and 24th. That's 24 hours apiece. Brought to you by my man, my brother Hakeem Green.
Yes, sir.
And the city of Newark and Mayor Ross J. Baraka.
That's right.
One last thing, and then we out of here. I want to say big ups to my man DJ Rich. Big ups to DJ Frank, the Wax King. Big ups to my man Max Jerome. These brothers came with me today to Rock and Soul. We did another date over there at Rock and Soul today in New York City, the great legendary Rock and Soul Records, where you can get all your DJ needs and production needs as well. We rocked over there today from 1 to 4. And, we did our thing representing.
Ain't hardly no record shops around no more.
Yeah, man. Yo, let me tell you, every time we go to Rock and Soul, again, this was another day. We went there and we just focused on what we were there for, because if we look back in that store, we're gonna get caught up. You know what I'm saying? And start spending money we ain't got to be spending, But yeah, big ups to the staff at Rock and Soul. Big ups to my man D Mecca, who always hooks us up and gets us up in there when we show up, man. And we had a good time. The next time we're gonna be there is September 27th, and we're gonna try to block out a little bit more time. We're gonna do a 1 to 7 set, and we're gonna try to bring the whole OGV crew through again like we did the first time. Because this time it was just me and DJ Rich, and he brought his man Frank D, and we rocked it out. And big ups to this queen that was there, Miss Q. She got on after us and was throwing on all of this funk, man. and doing her thing with the vinyl. So big ups to her. But yeah, we had a good time. But that's it for me, y'all.
All right. Well, good, Rhino. Thank
Yeah.
you for the hip hop update.
Oh,
Zaid,
can I just say one more thing, just real quick? August 17th, Caldwell Park in Morristown, New Jersey. We're going to be there from 12 to 8. Rod Digger is going to be, I believe she's hosting. Cellar Dwellers, Royal Flush, a whole bunch of folks are going to be there. It's open to the public. It's a family day. It's going to be vendors all day. It's going to be food, fun, and all of that. So yeah, Morristown. Me and DJ Rich, Frank D, and all of us, we're going to be there DJing and making it happen. DJ Cut Supreme is going to be there as well. That's August 17th. That's a Saturday.
Mr. Garvey's birthday.
Caldwell Park, Morristown, New Jersey.
Yeah,
right. Zaid, you got any final remarks?
No, just I want to thank everybody that's coming. We're in Black August. I mentioned Mr. Garvey, right? Initially, the inspiration or inspired by George and Jonathan Jackson, but it's the month where we celebrate Black resistance and support political prisoners, right? Mumia Abu-Jamal, in spite of his captivity, he's got another book out, Beneath the Mountain, the Mass Incarceration Reader, right? Look forward to book events for that. I'll be trying to organize some myself. In fact, Todd is involved in one that's going to happen on August 17th because they tried to kill Mumia on August 17th on Mr. Garvey's birthday back in 1995. In Harlem, St. Mary's Church, they're doing a book event around that particular book. So it is Black August. I thank our guests. We had some incredible guests come on. We're good to have Eric Payne back, right? Great conversation with Todd and Josie. I'm going to check in on their event tomorrow, right? Always great to have Marcia. She looked great. She's enjoying herself, right? Enjoying her newfound retirement, and that's a great thing. She's an incredible creator, And in addition, we know her from the educational and the legal thing, particularly this particular generation. But I've known Marcia since the mid '80s, right? And she was an incredible creator. So I'm glad she's doing that. I want to hear more about her book that you talked about, right? Yep. And Sean was a pleasant surprise, right? Because we were supposed to have Donna with Chino Ortiz from Returning Citizens, but we were able to get Sean to come in and one of the old school community brothers, just talk about some real stuff, right? And care about his community. That was good stuff. Good stuff as always.
Yep. So I joined Zaid in just thanking all of our guests. We appreciate everyone for coming on. Also want to just say, what's up to all of our other guests, to all of our other co-hosts, of course, Jonathan Austin, of course, to Donna, and of course, to Bashir Emeritus. Just want to say what's up to everybody. And then want to thank you. Thank you all for coming through, Zaid. Thank you, Rhino, for coming through doing the show tonight. And so we'll catch y'all next week. We'll have next week. We'll try to reach out to some people to talk about that whole election law thing, right? Where we are. See if we can get some people on next week. If not, next week the week after, to talk about what the election is going to look like in Newark and what the law is around that, so that hopefully we can educate those folks. And then we'll look to have the other candidate on that's or the other candidates that are running also in the Central Ward. So we'll look to have that on. But until then, we want to thank y'all for tuning in to All Politics Are Local. We'll see y'all next week. As my brother Zaid say, we'll catch them where, Zaid?
In the whirlwind, in the whirlwind, in the whirlwind, in the whirlwind.
Catch y'all in the world.
And you don't stop.
Peace.